Hey, you folks. What's up? Tom here, as you would know by clicking on this thing. But how's it going? This is one of the quick ones that's going to pop out. Excuse me. So this is my friend Pat from college. We sat down, talked about a bunch of stuff. I enjoy talking to him a lot because we're very different people. We come from very different places. We think very differently. So it's always interesting to how do I want to put it? I don't know, just kind of pick each other's brains and try to figure out what's going on. Try to see another perspective. But we also just talk about our our personal life and stuff. So this one actually censor out a bunch of names because we started to get like just so casual and in the groove of just hanging out that fucking rattle off few like people that don't need to be fucking mentioned by name because that's just rude. So I went through and I censored some of that shit, and we just we get a little political, which is something I never really want to do, I guess, on here. But again, I fucking invited a guy for that exact reason, so I guess that's weirdly counterintuitive. But I just hope no one thinks anyone's an asshole. I hope it was. There's clearly sides being taken, but I hope no one's feelings are hurt about that, because it's not what I'm here to do. It's not the point. I just it's kind of happened naturally, and I'm not gonna just fucking censor that shit out of there. It's just kind of whatever. But I don't even know how I'm gonna fucking I didn't do time codes because it's just so stream of consciousness conversationally flowy that I didn't really know what how I want to break that down. I don't really know how to do it even, so I just didn't do it. So sorry if that's something you like using and stuff. So I don't know. I just hope everyone has fun and enjoys this, and hope it was. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. Just enjoy this one, I guess. Don't go crazy. Live life. Have fun. A lot of love. I beat World 1 Cuphead. That's something that happened. And then, I'm going to probably just put this up. I want to have one out on Friday the 13th. I don't know, just anything. Probably the next just quick solo one. That might just be a short-ish one. We'll see. It's definitely going to happen. I fucking took the day off for work, so I'll just do something, record an episode, and fucking we'll see. Because, how many times is Friday the 13th going to hit in October? I can't just let that just disappear. So I have to, I not have to, but I'm going to, and I want to do something about it. So we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna do something with that, kind of preemptively. So look forward to that. That'll be either out on the 13th or the 14th, that Saturday, depending on how long it actually ends up being. I doubt it will be any. I can't imagine this will be over an hour, but I'm just adding the length of this episode for no real reason, I guess. Well, I guess I'm updating people, which is important, but. Got a lot of potential cool shit coming out. So I don't really, had this, had Friday the 13th not actually come out or been a thing happening, I don't know if I would have pushed for an additional episode be then, but I just feel like it'd be special. I've never seen any of the movies, so I'll watch a couple of those. At least the first two, maybe more. We'll see what happens. What day is it today? I don't even know what day it is. So that'll depend on when I can watch. Is it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. So I won't be. I'm gonna actually jump into Channel Zero right now as I leave you. So probably talk about that a little bit there as well. But we'll just kind of have a fun little Halloween-y episode. I'm guessing. I don't know. I just want to, even if it's just me reviewing the first two movies or whatever. Oh, excuse me. Might do that. So. And then I got some other stuff planned. We'll see what happens if stuff falls through. Who knows? It's probably my worst part of this whole thing is fucking scheduling. I'm just so bad at it. I don't know why. I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to get people to just, everyone to just line up, meet up, match up, whatever. But, hey, this is a fun one, I think. I was definitely enjoying a lot of it. I mean, it's, definitely straight up related to me. Being a lot of, just we went through personal life stuff and talked about relationships and talked about fucking just all sorts of stuff. It was good. It was good. got a little heated near the end, just kind of talking, just because it got a little more political, and it's just like I said, not really what I necessarily want this to be. But if something goes that way, fuck it, that's where it's gonna go. So, yeah, all right, so hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Your Brand Time, here with the sexy Pat Bunk. How's it going?
I'm so excited.
So how are you? How you feeling? How you feeling with the show?
Like a 12-year-old right now.
That's good. That warms my heart.
I'm just looking at one of my best friends doing something really cool. For those of you in the audience who can't see this right now, Tom has on these like magic, like real radio person, like.
Oh yeah, I don't fuck around. I bought like real shit.
Oh,
like it fucking put me in a hole for a long time financially, but I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right. Because I bought I'm pretty sure I've already mentioned this on the show before, but I bought these fucking like USB microphones, and they were just not as good, and like they were just very difficult to like actually get them to like, you couldn't go higher. Like they had a cap. It was like you plug the shit in your computer and that is it. Like I couldn't get a mixer that they could go into. I couldn't do so I was like, fuck it, take my tax returns, and I bought a bunch of like real shit so that I would like actually, like if I wanted to upgrade this mic, I just upgrade the mic, the stand, and the mixer. They all stay the same, that kind of stuff. The cable, all the stand shit. I just upgrade one part, and like so that was it was expensive, but it was a good decision, I think.
I think so. I would agree with that. So, I know for your birthday, I bought you a copy of The Alchemist.
You did.
And a big portion of that book is, achieving your personal journey and following your dreams.
Interesting.
And I'm very proud of you for going out and attempting to achieve your dreams. So I actually brought something that I think will be unique in the Your Brain on Tom show.
Interesting. I'm going to let you down right now. I have not read the book.
I know that. So open that.
Okay.
And then in there is some incentive for you to read the book.
Okay.
So.
Is it porn?
It is not porn.
It says sexy time on it. I'm starting to disagree. What is this? You handsome devil.
Yes. So that is a small check.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And
that's definitely the first for this show.
So, I mean, I'm just so proud of you, Tom, and so happy to be here.
Man.
And
I'm glad to have you here.
I just want to support what you do.
I feel like we have very interesting conversations.
We do. Way to put the pressure on me as.
Oh, I'm here to fucking drop the pressure balls on you. We're going hard. No, but like I definitely feel like we have good conversations that are they're unique because I don't always agree with you, but we don't kill each other.
Very true.
And I feel like that's important to having like a really cool, unique conversation where it's just like, you bring a perspective that I don't always have. And like sometimes I might leave being like, no, I don't agree with that. Or sometimes be like, well, I can at least see where he's coming from. Or maybe this is actually like a new thing. So that's always kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of civil discourse, have you seen Ken Burns' Vietnam?
No.
So I just finished that. It's free on pbs.org. You can stream it.
Oh, God bless PBS.
Yeah. So it was excellent.
I've never watched anything about Ken Burns.
Okay.
So is that a good place to start?
Are you familiar with him?
Yeah. Okay. I learned about him at school, but like, as much as you can learn about someone when you make a fake film degree, basically, out of a psych degree and a bunch of fucking extra credits. So, yes, he came up a few times, but, I've never actually watched anything he's ever done.
So I would highly recommend, so I've seen thus far Civil War and Vietnam.
Okay. Are they both on PBS?
Yeah, so Civil War is actually on Netflix.
Oh, dope. Okay.
So you can watch it on that, as is his documentary on World War II called The War.
Okay.
But I've not seen that one. But, so I thought Civil War was excellent, really well done. And then Vietnam, not as good. But the subject matter of Vietnam is so interesting because it's so relevant to today.
Is it? How so?
I mean, we think that our country is divided now.
Oh.
But the Vietnam era, like people, how people would joke before Trump was elected, they were going to go to Canada?
Yeah.
Like during the Vietnam era, they actually went to Canada.
Really?
And they renounced their U.S. citizenship.
Whoa.
Yeah.
See, in my mind, I guess because that's so fucking distant. Like I just never was like... I don't even know if I I have like no connection to the Vietnam War. So in my mind, I always just assume that like it was like everyone just was like, nah, Vietnam's a bad thing. Like I can't I don't know anyone or ever heard of someone who's like, no, we should be in Vietnam right now. Like I feel like now, like right now, and I guess because I'm in it, I feel like there are clearly two sides. But like back in the Vietnam time, whenever I hear stuff, it's like everyone was like just universally like, no, fuck that. But was like that different? Like,
yeah, well,
they're like supporters for the war.
Absolutely, and this is what's really interesting. So, you know, so I don't want to misrepresent the Vietnam War because I didn't pay too close attention to the documentary. I kind of just picked up on some of the main
Feel
themes.
free to just be as wrong as possible because you could not be any more wrong than I am on a weekly basis on this show. So,
oh man, well yeah. So the basic gist is when the war first started.
Mm-hmm.
My guess would be like most wars, as I talk out my butt, is that more people supported it than were opposed to it.
Right. That makes sense because wasn't it TV that like led to the people being less involved with it?
Yes. So Vietnam was the first war. This is a good point they make in the documentary. Vietnam was the first war,
televised.
Right, and also where the press was less censored. You know, and you had like independent journalists like Walter Cronkite, for example, went to Vietnam.
Wait, he was an independent?
Yeah, Walter Cronkite. Yeah,
I always thought he was like a CNN or like.
Well, he was a news anchor, but that was back before.
Okay.
You know, whatever bias.
Let's give it to this first. Well, we can get to that later, but let's give it to this part.
Right, but like he went there during the Tet Offensive and said, "I don't think we can win the war," and for, that it was so anti. I guess establishment, for lack of a better word, but World War II, everybody towed the party line.
Right,
there was a much greater sense of patriotic fervor. And
you think that it was 100% due to like not really knowing what was going on? You're just like, we're killing the bad guys. It's just.
Yeah, I think that. And then, too, our reasons for getting involved in World War II were much more pure. But I don't really want to talk about World War II at this time. But so one of the big parallels I noticed between then and now is they show footage of the protests, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you mentioned people who supported the war.
Yeah.
And some of the later years, like 68, 69, when this footage was from, you have mostly white, mostly middle-aged male, construction workers, blue-collar laborers, like steel union guys. And those are the ones who are protesting for the war.
Oh.
Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the spectrum are the college students and the hippie chicks, the girls wearing no clothes and the guys dancing like idiots, in the corner. And like
hashtag team right.
And it seems very similar to today.
I guess you're right. Yeah,
with the right and
isn't
and whatnot.
About the 60s when Berkeley became like this beacon of like the free speech or whatever that everyone keeps bringing up when they kept coming up after the Milo riots with the fire, and they're like, this happened at Berkeley, the center of free speech, and oh my God, they're not letting someone speak. And like, was it around this time when that kind of started?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And they go into much greater detail and much more like intelligent depth than I can get into here. But yeah, we think we're divided now. National Guardsmen who, you have to remember in context, like they're just average Joes who show up, 1 weekend a month to do drill. They were deployed at like Kent State, for example, and they opened fire on college students.
With like rubber bullets?
No, with real bullets.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You didn't know this?
No.
Yeah. They issued them.
I don't read a book.
They had M1 Garands with live rounds issued to put down college students who were protesting.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
That's real bad.
Yeah. So
wow.
I think they killed like 9 people.
What the fuck?
Yeah, your listeners will have to fact check me. I think it was 9. It might have been 4. But anyways, one of the people they killed was an Army ROTC guy. Like,
oh my God.
So they had no idea what they were doing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And what I never knew, what was new to me watching the documentary, is that there was a second shooting too.
Really?
Yeah. Another time the National Guard were deployed to, I think it was Jefferson University.
That's insane. Twice they just killed college kids?
They killed 2 people there too.
That's insane.
Yeah. You watch the documentary, the videos with some of the protests. Police are literally taking their billy clubs and bashing people in the head.
Wow.
And throwing them in the back of wagons.
That's it. I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of fucked up shit going on right now, but like, at least the fucking military's not killing civilians. That's insane. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess, wow.
Yep.
Was it just like at any means necessary? Fucking get it back to status quo. Fuck on any of this discourse. Like, is that why they thought it was okay to fire live rounds into a crowd?
Yeah, I mean, there have been whole books and documentaries and everything just on the Kent State massacre alone. So I won't begin to speculate. But
who initiated that decision
to open fire?
Yeah, like who like gave them the okay to even take live rounds into like a non-violent area?
Right. So that was just policy. Like that was
really,
yeah.
So rubber bullets were just not a thing.
No. After this, though, that brought about some changes where they started looking into non-lethal alternatives.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so nuts that you just were like, we're just going to stand here and hope we don't have to fire these live rounds into people.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. You just had no non-lethal option.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. But what was really eye-opening in the documentary for me, is a lot of it's told through the story of both, North Vietnamese and American, personal perspectives, like their personal narratives of the war. And coupled with a lot of behind-the-scenes looks at, some of like they, used Richard Nixon's audio tapes, some of Lyndon B. Johnson, who was president before him, and then some of Kennedy too. So there were this war went on for a really long time.
Right.
And, as recently as like 1965, the Secretary of Defense at the time, Robert McNamara, he kind of suspected that the war was unwinnable. Yet still we went on.
But stayed on for a while.
Yeah, with this.
Wow.
And even escalated our efforts too,
Why? Just for the sake of like a meaning? Like, hey, we gotta look like the big dogs? Or?
Yeah. So before this documentary, I'll just tell the listeners I tend to lean right. I always trusted the government and more so believed that anyone who said, oh, they're a bunch of lying,
I can't do
whatever,
that.
Establishment, whatever.
Ain't no glow birth, man.
Right. Was just...
Can't be believing that shit. Can't believe everything the government's telling us.
I just had to think that they were exaggerating or blowing out of proportion. But literally, they have the audio tapes of like the president's lying or saying something behind the scenes that completely contradicts what their official policy was.
Oh, dude, it's crazy.
And playing politics with American lives. And then you hear some of these soldiers who are veterans who watched their buddies get blown up or who lost limbs, and they're saying, "We were so angry."
I can totally believe it.
And so.
I mean, that seems to be like the game that everyone's playing still, but like,
what do you mean?
Like people are still like saying something and then doing another thing, but like in politics, but like we have social media and like just the internet. So when you do something and then do the opposite, people are like, "Hey, man, like we know what you're doing. We like, what are you doing?" Like, so like I feel like there's like people are still trying to do that shit. Like we'd see like some of the stuff like Hillary was doing with like those fucking speeches for all that money and stuff, and that comes out and everyone's like, where did that, like, what is that plan?
Right.
Or like anything, like, Trump's just tweets stuff, and then like people who are in those departments are like, what is he talking about? Like, so like it's just like a lot of people just kind of flexing, and then everyone like now can see it. Like, so when someone's like, they say something or they go to do something, it's like, all right, well now we have evidence of this, and like we can now see that. That seems insane. Like, that's just hella nuts.
Yeah, I know, right?
So now that you've seen this and then the current state of affairs, are you like falling less towards a more traditional conservative view where you're like, you don't necessarily put a lot of faith in the government?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely opened my eyes and gave me a different perspective.
Okay.
I mean,
like, I'm not telling you to define yourself right this second, but like, how are you, because I know you were a Trump supporter and that's less of a thing now.
Absolutely less of a thing
right,
now,
so
yeah.
like you're definitely falling off on that wagon. So like, I feel like it seems like you're in a crisis, and you're kind of like seeing other perspectives or just seeing the shit that's falling in front of you and be like, well, this is not good. So like, how are you standing now? How are you feeling? Like, do you just feel kind of like lost? Do you feel like you got at least an idea of what's going on? That's a crazy tough question, but just fucking,
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, I think I'll take the political way out of this question.
Okay.
And like, in politics, you ask someone a question, they can answer with whatever they want. Like,
right, yeah.
You ask me, is it raining outside? Well, I really want to talk about dogs today. Like,
yeah.
And just say something that I think is more interesting in that, one of my favorite topics to do, which is rag on millennials / people today. And what was really neat to see in the documentary was even though, how these sides were in such opposition to each other, they were out there active and protesting, and like college campuses were shut down across the country after Kent State. Like students like we talk about solidarity today.
Yeah.
You know, like students just walked out and refused to go to class and went on strike.
Wow.
You know, I mean, and just I feel like we don't have that same kind of. Trying to find the right word for it. Not like balls or ovaries, but like the same.
No, I kind of get what you're saying. Like a kind of a gusto or whatever, just kind of.
Yeah, you know,
But, like,
the same sense of like joint purpose.
I mean, it's hard for us to say because we're out of college now. So
Right.
like maybe things are slightly more different.
Right.
And Siena was a bit odd. You know, I don't know if it was exactly the same. Like I don't know if it would be if that's a perfect representation of college life at all times. Like maybe that wouldn't have stuck because I never felt like. But I've definitely at the time of us going, like maybe now that there's this person that's very divisive in the White House, a lot of other crazy shit going down. Maybe there'd be a bit more unity. But I can't necessarily say like that's not happening right now. Like and not necessarily is it not happening in a good way. There's a lot of the shit like the Antifa stuff going on where people are seeing these opportunities of protest and stuff to cause violence, but. In some cases, these people, round together. Because wasn't the whole thing in Charlottesville? Those were all mostly college kids that, like, started that, right?
I don't know enough about that to comment.
I know at least the people that those pictures showed up for, a couple of them were, like, college people. Obviously, people who were, crazy.
Sure.
Well, KKK members and stuff, they showed up because they just saw... They saw red, or they saw green and went go, whatever. So they just took that opportunity to do other things. But, like, there's a lot of... I just feel like everyone feels... I think what it's coming down to is this era is that everyone feels like they have a voice. So you don't need to take blanket statements of like, that we all believe this. It's like, well, I actually believe this. And then you get like, when someone's like, that's dumb. And then you get angry and everyone starts fighting. So
yeah, so I have a very interesting question for you along those lines, especially since we're on this podcast and you have this podcast. It's kind of, your forum. Do you find there are too many voices? I mean, we have 300 million people in this country, 300 million plus, and
every one of them has a Twitter.
right, and everyone's their own pundit now. And I don't know, myself, I'm always overloaded by information. And part of the reason why I really want to support your podcast and come here is I search for good information and just interesting information.
Mm-hmm.
Just because in that sea of voices, I mean, there's so much stuff that's just dribble.
Right. Well, I mean, to answer your question, I definitely think you're right. You got to find those voices that speak to you. And like, the whole reason I started doing this is because like, I just have a lot of shit I want to talk about. And not always do I have someone I can sit down and talk about. Or maybe I, just want to unpack. Like the episode that's going to come out before this one is me kind of unpacking all of the Blade Runner series. I just saw the new movie and I'd rewatched everything. And like, I don't know if there's anyone that I know I could sit down and have like a really in-depth conversation. Or like, I don't even want to necessarily pull someone out of their day and be like, hey, let's go to this fucking midnight release of this movie that you might not even be that into like I might like. So like it's just like, and it's easy. So like it was just kind of a way for me to just rant and ramble and kind of just clear my head because I'll be honest, like a lot of the stuff that I talk about when it's just like a me episode, that shit's gonna happen anyway. Might as well put a mic in front of me. I'm just going to talk it out with myself. I'm gonna think about these things. I'm like, why not? If one person's like, this is dope, like that's pretty cool. And like, so there's definitely like finding the voice that speaks to you, finding a voice that's interesting to you. Like you're asking me what podcasts to listen to, and like, there are podcasts that I have that are drop anything podcasts. Like the schedule, I have like a general schedule. It's like this one comes out this day, this one comes out this way. But then like some of these ones, like a Kevin Smith will put one out. It's like everything goes on hold until I listen to this one or watch this one or whatever. And like a lot of the kind of funny stuff, I put that stuff over other stuff because I enjoy those people. I enjoy what they're saying. I enjoy the camaraderie that they try to like facilitate. So there's definitely a lot of voices, a lot of drivel, a lot of garbage, and you just kind of have to look out for what you like, what you don't like, understand. Like, there are people that I genuinely love in a person-to-person situation, but I can't have them unmuted on my Facebook feed. They're just saying constant nonsense. They're just putting out stuff of just to be like, I don't even know what their objective is, but like, when I see 3 of the same posts, I'm like, all right, I get it, guys. Like, this thing is fucked. I agree with you, but like, I don't need to know that you agree with me. In most cases, I'm just going to assume you agree with me. Like, I don't need to know like where you sit, where you stand. Like, if something's fucked, something's fucked. Like, And I think that's definitely coming out with the whole thoughts and prayers things everyone's super upset about, which totally they're in the right to feel that way. I totally agree in most situations where if you like something horrible happens, like this thing in Las Vegas, and then you're just like, our thoughts and prayers, and then you move on with your thing, it's like, you're not actually helping. You're not doing anything. So like, why add to that noise? Why, if you're not going to add anything direct, if you're not going to do something, and a lot of times when it comes to stuff like that, I just go off and I do it. If there's, like, I donate blood every time I get the opportunity. If it comes to my work, if it was at college or whatever, I always donate blood. I always do a thing like that. But now I'm on a public platform and I'm fucking bragging about it or whatever, like an asshole.
Hero.
But like, yeah, exactly.
You want a medal?
Yeah, thank you. But like, I'll just do it. I don't ever I would never post on Facebook like just donate blood unless I was trying to be in like a weird douchebag asshole on purpose. Like I don't
every day.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I don't try to like do that, and like I hate it too. I hate donating blood. Fucking makes me all weak and queasy. I'm a tiny little boy. I can't donate a lot of my body.
That's
I don't
not true.
I don't got a lot of body left. So like, I always like end up like almost passing out. And it's always like a fucking issue where they're always like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine." It's every like 6 months this happens where I almost die in front of like 6 people. I'll be okay.
Yeah. So I'm raising my hand here for those of you who can't see because I have a question and I want to. Oh, a comment, really.
Down in front.
But so Tom mentioned, I think the quote was like, I am a little boy. And that's just not true. I mean, for those of you who hear his voice, through this format, his voice is very sexy. Therefore, Tom is equally as sexy.
Oh,
if not like 1.10 times as sexy as his voice.
I was just about to I was going to make a joke about, what's the group that's like the boy love group? What is that called? Don't talk about. It's like advocacy of boy. It doesn't matter. This joke is already falling apart, and it was already way too inappropriate about fucking. I was gonna say something defective, fucking pedophilia, which is just not good. Which fucking just happened. Did you hear about the fucking thing that happened in Siena? Speaking of college,
oh boy, yeah, I did.
That was nuts.
Yeah.
The dude got fucking busted for child porn after fucking like. He was like, the FBI was like after him for a while, and then just happened to figure it out. Fucking nuts.
Yeah, well, because everything goes through Siena's.
Right.
That's how the Siena network works.
Well, yeah. He apparently, like, I was reading one article, and they were like, he used Omegle and something called Kick, which is another thing. I can't even keep up with how many fucking social media things are going on right now.
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't know what that is.
No,
I'll occasionally see a girl on Tinder be like, hit me up on Kick. And I'm like, I think this is a bot. Like, I didn't know it was a real service that people used.
Yeah.
So apparently it's like a thing, but that was insane.
Yeah, so just an aside quick, we'll come back to this, but I find it so interesting how people, will say like, add me on Kick or use Kick, or, I have a fetish, which I won't go into here, but, like in this community, people often, use Kick. And me, the kind of person I am, I mean, my parents give me a flannel for Christmas every year. And, I rotate that out, those 4 different flannels out with a pair of jeans, and I'm happy.
Right.
But
how's that apply to social media?
What's that?
How's that apply to social media?
Oh, well, I'm getting there because I'm the kind of person who Googles like how to use Kick.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I can't find instructions on what people mean. Like they're just like, oh, use to chat with people. I'm like, right, but that's like its purpose. But how do I get from like, click on Google Play to download Kick to like,
or even why?
It?
Why do that
right,
instead of like just using any other service? Like, what is it? I don't understand.
So I researched Kick. So
okay,
I do know. Yeah,
I literally know nothing about it. I literally thought until I saw that article about this kid, I thought it was the things bots use to fucking steal your shit.
Right. So like, are you familiar with WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, WhatsApp still requires you to have a phone number.
Okay.
Kick does not.
Okay.
So Kick just allows you to have and it's like AIM, basically. It allows you to have like an anonymous...
Rest in peace.
Yeah. It allows you to have an anonymous name from which you can connect with other people. But, it's mobile, so you can take it places. Yeah. You can be on the line, as, they say in the sequel to Wedding Crashers.
The fucking Google thing?
Yeah, the internship, Tom.
Right. I thought you meant a real sequel. I was like, what? I was like, okay, that's not a real thing. Okay, that makes sense. Why someone who's fucking getting a bunch of that shit would do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean...
I had no idea. Okay.
This is a very unfortunate situation. I mean,
when I first saw it, I saw it on the news, and I was like, at first it was like Siena College child porn, or like something. They used some word that involved shit's gone fucked, and I was like, fuck, did a teacher just get fucked with this? Mm-hmm. Like that's gonna be really bad for the school. When I found out I was a kid and he was like 20, I was like, please let this be. Like he had like his 17-year-old girlfriend's nude picture on his phone, and it just shit went south, and it was not the case, and that's fucked. But then this other kid, the guy from Glee, one of the guys, I don't know Glee enough to actually tell you which character this guy played or even what his name is as the actor, but he just got busted for the same thing. Similar, like, fucking kids between 3 and 5 doing shit, like, real fucked up, crazy shit. But he's, like, not going to jail for a super long time. And I don't know if it's because he has a fuckload of money or, like, what, but, like, I feel like something like that, where it's, like, and, like, if it was just, like someone's a pedophile and, like, we, you know, whatever, they don't do anything about it, like, they don't try to act on it, and they're trying to seek help, we should figure out a way to actually try to, what's the term? Rehabilitate someone.
Sure.
In that situation. But when you're getting access to stuff of people, because some kid has to act in this, like, this thing you're watching that's 3 to 5, that's fucked right up. Sure, you're not directly assaulting someone, but you're involved in an environment where someone is being, like, assaulted, and that's fucked. And so, like, at that point, I feel like it should be, like, some kind of blanket, like, charge. You should just go to jail for X amount of time, and it is just that. There's no, like, you can't work your way around it. You can't you can't talk about it. Like, there's no argument. The court is here, and then you can add shit from there. And it's just like, I guess that's not the case. I guess you can just kind of, depending on how much money you have, you can throw out the problem. You can shave it down, which seems crazy.
Yeah, again, there are probably differences in particulars in this case. You know, I don't know enough about that, but I mean, for me, it's just tragic. Because I mean, it's, you know, it's like it's a waste of a life. I mean, and it's so hard to know.
Oh, he's done forever.
Right. Or, you know, I mean.
And all the kids are probably, I, like, can't imagine what the fuck those kids that he's got this fucking content heads, like, what the fuck they've got to go through. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much, the process of that, and I would love to know, I'm sorry, I've cut you off, but, like, I would love to know, like, the psychological path of that, because, like, the amount, not, like, just for you to get your rocks off, you're not, like, you risk losing, like, fucking, your life's over. Everyone that's involved in the production, their life's over. If anyone gets caught, or just these 2 kids that are involved, they're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much damage that, like this crazy trail, and it's just like, there's just no, I don't even know where it fucking even comes from. It's so crazy.
Right. But at the same time, you know, you just always have to remember that the guy who's being charged here is still a human being.
No, yeah, you're right.
Right, you're not, you know, not saying that, as I so articulate, but that, but I don't know. Literally the first thing I thought of when I read that article was, you know, the gospel call to, you know, visit those in prison and just, you know,
Does the Bible actually say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Message of Jesus is pretty beautiful, you know, when you get down to it.
Huh. Okay.
But yeah, so
So you drove out to prison and you saw this kid.
I did not. I did no such thing. I am not a paragon of but that's the first thing I thought of, because, you know, your first reaction is to go to, like, disgusting in your gut, because as you mentioned, there's that whole chain of damage.
Right.
And ultimately, you know, this child that is exploited, which is awful and disgusting. Yeah, so that's, I don't know, it just sucks on all fronts.
It's just super fucked. And, like, I don't know how you fix it. Like, it's one of those problems that's happening, and you're like, because I know at the current state of things, like, if someone is a pedophile and they reach out to the cops, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to get arrested immediately. Like, I think if you talk to a therapist and, like, I have these feelings, I think you get reported and you just get arrested. Like, I don't know if there's, like, a proper rehabilitation chain where it's like, there's, like, because, like, you know, this kid is obviously going through all these anonymous sources, these anonymous avenues, so that he can, because he knows this is wrong. He knows there's a problem here. And so, like, he is, like, aware of this, but and sure, it's obviously part of on his end, where he can be like, I'm not going to partake in this. But, like, does he have an avenue where he's like, I know this is wrong and I want to fix this? Is there a route for that? You know? Sure, there's some people who
are you saying, like, is there a solution? Is there
the only word I can use right now, I can think of right now, is cure, but I feel like that's incorrect when it comes to mental health. But, like, because nothing can really, maybe things can be cured. I don't know, but, like.
Right, and that's mental health, it's a very interesting point, because do we know enough about this to say, I'm going to ask you a question that neither of us know the answer to, but do we know enough about this to say, like generally, like, scientific community, to know that this isn't, like, a biological thing?
Right.
You know, I mean, that's so much of sexuality
I don't know anything. I don't know how much of this we know about or how much has been studied. I actually don't know. And, like, when it comes to a lot of these sexuality things, there's a lot of like still a taboo. That's fine. Yeah, there's a lot of like still like a taboo, and there's like a lot of like, you know, look the other way, don't really go into this. And like there are studies, and I would see them when I was in class and stuff, but the sample sizes were always generally kind of small. And that's fair because a lot of this shit is super like person to person. So like, you know, someone's into feet. Why are they into feet? And they look into that, and it's like, you know, oh, but this person's into like this and this and this. So like the sample size gets kind of small because you try to like really fucking nail it down. And like, why is it high heels? And you know, was it like, it was Freud right? And is something you saw when you were in these certain ages and stuff like that. And it's like, but like I don't feel like it's studied on a wide enough scale. But maybe that's just because everything's so unique and interesting. I don't know. It's weird.
It's very weird.
Psych is, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's it feels like it's like throwing darts into space and just trying to hit something. Like it's just like everyone is so different, everyone is so, you know, like just there's so many different avenues that any one human being can take in a myriad of things. We're not just talking sexuality, which was, I mean, that is the one topic that I was most fascinated in school. Like, what makes someone choose one gender over another? What makes a person feel this way over that? And like, I wanted to figure that out in school. And like, but when I actually started looking into it, it's like it was just a shrug. Like it was just like, maybe this is kind of why. And like, I don't know. It just feels like something I kind of would like to see developed more, but I don't know if it gets as much attention because everyone's just like, ew, gross, titties. So I don't know.
Speaking of psychology, I'm sort of question mark, I guess dating. Like, I don't know. So I liked, for the audience, listeners, whoever, I like to use the word dating to mean any situation where you hang out with someone you are romantically interested in.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. So
not mutual.
All right. So mutual, yes. So yeah, it must be mutual. Yeah, that's an important qualifier.
Because if that's your qualification, I've dated a lot of people. You're just like, oh, I just kind of hang out with someone I kind of like.
You know me, I like sit in the corner and like stare at her, and like when she's grinding up on someone, I'm like dancing. It's kind of like we're dancing together. But no, yeah. So
then I'm dating 3 girls at work right now.
And who's dating you? That's the really interesting question. That you don't know about.
Oh no! I'm aware of him, and he needs to go away. He is so annoying. Oh my god! I don't know if I've told that story on this show, but continue.
Oh god. So anyway, you know, we haven't. See, I forget I'm talking to an audience, not just talking to you. I'm gonna act like I'm just talking to you.
That's fine.
Yeah, but so like we haven't kissed yet, which I mean,
that's true.
For like you knowing, and we've hung out,
and we've been dating forever.
Oh god, that was a great one. But so
deep breaths.
So you know me. I mean, like, I like somebody serves me an ice cream cone, and like
they're the one. They're the one.
They're the one. You know, and like I never take anything slow. I mean, I always, you know. I'm so impatient. I'm always pushing.
I don't know if you have a break.
Right. Anyway, so you know, I'm dating this girl. You know, we haven't even kissed yet. That's what I was getting to. Which is very atypical for me. You know, because I usually like, especially the physical stuff, to happen much more quickly. But we did something really cool last night, which was we hugged.
Whoa.
We hugged.
Did you see your ankle?
For like a solid minute.
Whoa.
And it was like the highlight of my week. It was awesome.
That's good.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. For those of you who don't know Tom and I's relationship, usually we get together on some random night of the week or weekend.
And catch up. About our endeavors and everything.
Yes. So.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So you're over... You've moved past that. A name that means nothing to anyone listening, but...
gosh.
A name that doesn't even really mean anything to me. I never even met her, but...
Yeah.
So I am... But it's good to see that you're moving past. The last time we talked, you were upset.
I'm still upset. And
okay.
I don't know. So this new girl who I'm hanging out with, you know, I've explained to her the situation, and I don't know, I'm just doing my best to adapt.
Okay.
I mean, was the first person I've liked in a really long time. And, you know, unfortunately she's going through some things, just kind of trying to figure out her life, and it didn't work out at this moment in time.
Okay.
I don't know. She was really cool, and I just have a lot of respect for her. So I don't know. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But when I met her, I was ready for the one.
Okay.
You know, and the one, right? But like,
but you're always ready for the one.
Yeah, pretty much.
You've been looking for the one since I met you.
Yeah, and I mean, I met the one, but then lost the one.
Come on now. That's not.
And then
Don't hang out with that. Don't hang out on that anymore. You got this.
you're right. So I guess what I'm looking for now is the adult one,
The next one.
the next one. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this one goes. I mean, this girl. So speaking of psychology, how I
Okay.
got on this tangent
Mm-hmm.
is she is a PhD psych student.
No shit.
Yeah,
Oh, she's a brainiac. That one.
yeah, she is.
What
She's
a-
super smart.
Super smart.
Yep.
I would never do that.
Yep. So you know what we did? One of these dates
Okay.
quotes. She has this book from her childhood called, it's like a mnemonic book on how to remember the presidents,
Okay.
and it starts off with you go to the White House and
Mhm.
like you go in the basement and there's like a washer,
Oh, okay.
and so the first president is Washington,
Right. Okay.
and it doesn't get much better than that throughout the whole book
Well, where do they go with Adams?
with Adams.
How does that happen? Like, what is the thing you're supposed to remember him by?
Well, so I don't know I can't remember the first atom. Oh no, yes, because the washing machine is filled with a bunch of atoms, and then there's an
Oh.
illustration of this, these atoms.
And I mean, I don't want to go down the list, but Jefferson.
Chef's son,
Okay.
Jefferson, yeah, because
Okay.
you're in the basement of the White House where they're preparing food. So
Okay.
there's Chef's son, Jefferson. Holy crap, this mnemonic works so well.
Wow.
And then the fourth president,
Madison.
was it Madison?
Yeah.
Oh yes, because there's a mad sun, like a sun, like
Okay.
in our
Oh,
solar system, the
okay.
sun, who's hanging out on like the frying pan
Okay.
that this chef's son is cooking.
And we'll go back to Adams.
Yes. So I thought Monroe was next. Is Monroe?
Oh no, you're
next?
right. Is Monroe the
Yes,
Madison?
and so I know
Monroe's
that
five.
because
Yeah,
then you take a money row, or like you're rowing a rowboat
you're right. Okay.
on like a money river or something like that. So Monroe, and then you come to a dam for Adams.
Oh. This is good.
Yeah, this is the most boring.
I was about to say, we're not going to go down the list here to figure out what the fucking order is. I'm pretty sure the Animaniacs probably have a song that's a lot faster and catchier than this. Why? Wait, so she just had this book? That's what you guys did on this romantic evening?
Yep, that's what we did, and then we talked.
How'd you meet this girl?
So much more interesting story. So I went to, it was Thursday night. For those of you who don't know me, I drink maybe 6 times a year. So I decided one night, I was feeling froggy, lonely, grabbed a book called We Die Young, a memoir. No, We Die Alone, excuse me.
Wow, you were just fucking beaconing out real hard.
What?
Going out alone with a book called We Die Alone.
Yeah.
You were screaming, someone talk to me. Someone touch my penis, please. That was you.
Yeah, I guess. And so unbeknownst to me, I just want to get some dinner, right?
Mhm.
Read a book, eat some dinner. It's a way to go out alone in public and not look like an idiot. And I hate being on my phone. I don't want to be out on my phone. That's not
Okay.
who I want to be. So I bring this book and I look up restaurants, and there's this one called LAX on Lark. And
Okay. I've been by that. Yeah.
yeah, so I see they have fish tacos.
Okay.
And so I call them on the phone, and it's a little after 10 o'clock. I'm like, hey, what time do you guys stop serving the fish tacos? And they're like, well, we kind of stopped at 10, but excuse me. I'm like, well, that's really why I want to come. And she's like, all right, well, I just checked with the chef, like, we can make them if you come. So I've got my book. I'm going down to get these fish tacos at LAX on Lark on a Thursday night. It's like 10:30, and I get there, and the place is packed, like full house. And I'm one of like 5 white people,
Nice.
and it's karaoke night,
Fantastic.
and there are no tables. And I didn't realize that. So
Wait, so this is 10:30 at night
yeah,
on a Thursday, which is weird that there would be like a crazy like club thing going on. But
Yeah.
you thought you could just bring a book?
Yeah.
All right.
yeah.
Bold.
I thought it was a restaurant. I
Oh,
I had
okay.
no idea. So I find a spot at the bar. A seat was open, luckily,
Okay.
and I sit down, order my fish tacos,
Nice.
and start reading.
Were they
and
cold?
then- No.
Some
They're
relevant information to the story. I'm just curious.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Painting a picture.
And, this group of girls sit down next to me, and they ask me, what I'm reading, and I have to explain to them I'm reading We Die Alone, and that's not how I met the girl.
Oh, okay.
But so
they fled immediately.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, We Die Alone. Great. Fucking good luck with that.
surprisingly they didn't. I was so
okay.
shocked. Yeah, they just they kept talking. One of them was a law student at Albany Law.
Nice.
But
well, you must have just looked distinguished as fuck, just chilling by yourself at a bar with a book. Like no one does that today.
Right?
No one does that.
Right.
Like,
so I felt kind of pretentious, but at the same time, this is who I really am. So who?
Right. It can't really be pretentious when you're just doing you.
Yeah, exactly. And but no, so she sang karaoke.
What'd she sing?
She sang Bare Naked Ladies.
Okay.
1 week.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, this girl gets the 90s. I'm all about the 90s music.
You are really about the 90s.
Yeah. By the way, Gin Blossom, December 3rd.
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
Oh, we had this conversation three times now.
25th anniversary to our new miserable experience.
Do I have to pay you now?
So I pray to God, like fingers and butt cheeks crossed, that there's still a ticket left, because I bought 2 for me and Tristan back, and I didn't know if you would confirm or not. And I'm sorry, I was irresponsible, and I should have texted you. So maybe after this we can check.
Yeah, sure, that's
and
fine.
see. And if there's a ticket left.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. I really hope you can go though, because I would love that.
All right, yeah, sure. If there's a ticket, I'll go.
Sweet. But yeah, so eventually she walked over, and I was like, hey, great job. You did good. You killed it.
Okay.
And yeah, we just kind of conversation went organically from there. She was out celebrating her friend birthday, and they invited me to their table.
So this is how you talk to women. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, Tom, you do.
I mean, I kind of do, but also spaghetti just falls everywhere. And there's just everyone's falling over. There's some shit flying. It's bad.
Yeah. So what I was thinking the other day, I was thinking about this, because I'm kind of sort of more alone now than I've ever been in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like the game seems so much different. Like
it's a goddamn nightmare.
Yeah. Living in Albany is a college town. But like, things like Kick and all the kids are out, and like they're, the girls are wearing nothing, but you don't know
all right, Grandpa.
if they're just but like I used to see if a girl was wearing nothing, I would assume like, oh, she's like,
Oh, she's like, that's just the standard now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
She's not saying, she's not put on
exactly,
a message.
that doesn't mean anything.
Happens.
Like now I can't, I can't read the cues. So I'm like, how have I been, as, I don't want to use the word successful, but as
promiscuous.
Yeah, just how have I been as fortunate and like privileged as I've been? And I think it's just because when I've had opportunities, I've typically like capitalized on them, and like I've not been afraid.
That's my problem. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to pull the trigger. For like a lack of a better term, like
right. Well, you were there rock climbing when I met.
Oh yeah, I like just got there, and you're talking to some girl.
Yeah, and I mean that
But like she seemed super interested. Like I didn't feel like when I walked in, I didn't think that you were like you were just like shooting for the stars. Like you you somehow laid pretty decent groundwork, and like you were when you asked for her number, there was a very certain like she's into me. Like it's not like you're like maybe I don't know, and then like you did it, and she was like what? Why would you ever get that idea? Like it was like very like mutual. Like she likes you, you like her. You guys figured it out without words. Like these humans can do. I don't understand how these people can do this.
So I'll let you know a little secret, Tom. I had maybe like a 25% feeling that she would say yeah or want to see me again.
Oh really?
Or something. That's it. But
because I walked in, it looked pretty certain. I was like, oh, she's into him.
Well,
Good for her pet.
I mean, that's cool. Maybe you just need a third-party observer to follow you around.
Maybe.
Like, have you seen the commercials with I think it's for State Farm, where they have like the helmets on and you need like a life coach?
No, that's hilarious.
And it's like a football coach who's like talking to the guy, and he just wears a football helmet on. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely need someone around who can like fucking, I guess, pull the trigger for me, because I self-doubt and second-guess everything when it comes to other people.
I'm so glad we turned on to this topic, because everybody self-doubts, and I probably self-doubt more than anyone else on the planet.
I don't know if that's possible.
But the difference is you execute in spite of the self-doubt. And like, I don't want to be saying up here like John Wayne, Pilgrim, like buck up, cowboy, like.
I mean, there's definitely some like truth to that.
Right.
Like there's potentially, I could definitely have at least, mild relationships with people if I just, even tapped the trigger. I'm not even full pull. I'm just fucking to give it a shot instead of just standing there with the safety on. Like, I don't
know. Great analogy.
Like I probably could. There probably could be some stuff that happens, but like I never go the full distance. It scares me too much.
Yeah,
it's too much work. It's like maybe not too much work. It's just it brings out a level of anxiety to almost like a panic attack where I'm like, I can't do this. And like fight or flight, I flight every time. And I don't like it. I don't like that. That's reality, but that's reality.
Well, I'll just say this. You flight every time until you don't. And then that time, everything goes well. And that's,
I mean, I guess it's true. I mean, yeah, you're right. Eventually shit's got to work out, but.
Right.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know why that's a thing.
Do you forget past successes? Because I do that all the time where like this is a huge contributing factor where I forget, like, I've been here before. Like, I've done this. Like, why am I so, like I've played the game 1,000 times, like.
Well, so yes and no to that. So, yes, okay. So, I do forget past successes because, like, the last time it kind of worked out was with I was like, what did I do differently? Why did she seem to like me? What did I do? How did I get past the initial, like, barrier? But then I've also have, like, no other real like solid like evidence, and like I don't know why that ended or why that started. And so like I have like one piece of empirical evidence, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with any of this because it's just kind of like it was her. It was like 100% on her, like why it started, why it ended. Like it was, and I just never saw why. And like sometimes I think back on it, and I try not to because I don't want to keep dwelling like what did I do wrong and just fucking lament. But
no,
like
it's understandable.
Every once in a while I'll think about it and be like, there's definitely a lot of things I can see and like, okay, yeah, definitely fucked up that, definitely shouldn't have done that. But like, for it to just kind of end cold, like, and maybe likely what it is I'm just valuing what we had a lot higher. So I don't have context. So I saw that happening. I was like, hey, this is how people say things go. And then I just assumed that's how it was. Plus also, side note, a lot of people were like, they would be explicit, but she wouldn't. They like, people would be like, oh, the cutest couple ever, talking about us, and be like, say like, oh, what the lovebirds want to do and stuff like that when we'd hang out. And like, so I would assume, I guess I was taking other people's third party eyes and being like, oh, okay, so it is how I think it is. And then when it actually came down to it, she didn't feel that way. And I was like, all right, I don't know where this fucked up. And I wish I kind of knew like what I fucked up, but I don't. And so I just kind of stopped. Yeah. So I don't know, but like there's just not really it's not a big pool of evidence. There's not a lot of stuff like that. So I don't really know, where it goes. But there's also times where like of the 3 weddings I went to, there are 4. I went to 4 weddings, but really 3 where I was like on my own. Because there's no way I'm just gonna go hit on a bunch of chicks with fucking hanging out with Ben. Like I'll hang out with Ben. So like I would rather do that anyway. So like of the three weddings I went to, 2 of them, like people were showing interest, but I was just too stupid to like put the pieces together. So like I don't know, there's probably a lot of me just being a dumb butt. So like, like I could just stop being big and stupid and just fucking like be like, oh wait a minute, hey, this person actually care. Like it's so I'm just bad at this.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of goes in waves too. I mean, people talk about, like hot streaks or.
Do they?
They do. Oh yeah.
Okay.
They definitely exist too. Like you definitely ride hot streaks from time to time.
Okay.
I don't know. Lately I've become much less overbearing's questionably the right word, but much less preoccupied.
With relationships?
Yeah. I mean, I say that like at this time in my life, I've never thought about relationships more, but preoccupied in the sense that, I love the minutia, like stuff. I just have a much more general sense of things will work out, if
okay.
kind of, because like when, right, like you talk about having that one experience to compare it to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I won't mention her name, but like the second person who I was really in love with, and who I still now to this day think about, at times and whatnot. Like it was different then. I mean, you said love, and it meant, like everything you wanted it to mean from when you were a child. Like Owen Wilson, Wedding Crashers, like your soul's recognition of its counterpoint in another.
Do you think you were just maybe buffing it up more than it was in reality? Like in your head, it may have felt that way more. Like you may have imagined it like more there. That's kind of where I'm at. Where like the one was there. I kind of felt like I was close to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I think back, I'm like, oh, I think I was just adding details and context that wasn't there to make it feel make it play into the narrative that I wanted it to.
Right. And yeah, I mean, that's certainly a possibility, but, there's always the two potential sides. So maybe it could have been, that true love, and everything that I thought and, intuited, to pronounce that right, was actually correct.
Well, that's sad, though.
But that is sad.
That's sad thinking.
Right.
I don't like that one.
Right, but so here's the perspective, and, like, what do you do with life, right? Like, after that, I was in, a 4.5-year relationship that didn't work out.
Right.
And then had, various partners afterwards, with varying degrees of commitment, and, been ghosted and have almost ghosted someone. Like, there's this.
That seems really common these days,
ghosting. It does. I'm very disappointed in that, too, by the way. And when I say I almost ghosted someone, that's not entirely true. I didn't. I always responded. I just wasn't interested. So there's a difference. But
it's so much easier these days, where you can just be like, I just want to see this text, or whatever. So I can see that being like, I understand why it's so popular, because it's just so easy.
I don't understand, right? So that's what I don't get, and that's what makes me so disappointed with.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just
society,
saying I'm saying I understand why it happens.
Yeah, like literally, we've been inside each other in a respectful way, and you don't value me enough to send a 10-second text message just saying, like, not interested anymore, or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I take a lot of issue with that and that kind of behavior.
So the way I would kind of defend that, play the devil's advocate in the situation.
Devil's avocado, Tom.
Okay, you're right. How dare I? Would be basically texting is most people our age, most people that we would be sexually interested in, romantically interested in, that is their primary form of communication. And so to tell someone I'm not interested in person really fucking sucks. But when you primarily communicate through words on a screen, that now becomes the primary way of you communicating. And you think, man, it really fucking sucks to be able to text this person and go, I'm not interested. And then even if you delete the fucking number, you erase that, you block their number so you can't get their response. Like, I guess that's just like a way for them to be like, you know what, this is just, it became so personal. Something so impersonal has now become super personal, and like they would rather not take that jump. And I can kind of get it. Like, it sucks, but I can kind of see where it comes from. Like, I don't hold it against anyone.
That's interesting. I don't know if you remember, like, I tend to consider myself fairly empathetic in that I can understand how someone could do that. But as I get older, and this is why I say I've like started to lean more towards the right, I really, because I take so much personal responsibility in my daily life and try to be a good person, I sort of now expect that from other people. And so, like, it used to be when I was younger, I was picked on, I was getting everything that. I'm like, oh, they're just, that's okay. That's what they want to do. That's fine. Like, but now it's like, I don't know if I hold people to a higher standard, or I want to hold people to a higher standard, or just like I'm becoming so fatigued with people just being dumb. Like in my mind, it's like, boy, this is gonna sound really awful, but like, you had enough respect to like say hi to me with your vagina and let me stay over for a night, and multiple nights or whatever. But like, you can't just respond to like. So I was ghosted, right? So a little more backstory. So like, that happened, and then one day, just nothing, right? So like, we'd been intimate and I'd gone over for a night, and then nothing, like no response. Like, I even said like, hey, like, if you're not interested anymore, just tell me you're not interested. Like, I'm not, I'm an adult. Like, I'll leave you alone. Like, I'm not, doing anything. And, I never sent like 1,000 text messages. Like, I didn't do anything weird, know? So that's what, it's just so hard to understand that for me. Like, literally I was like, just say not interested and I'll leave you alone forever. Like, I don't, So.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe you could shed some light on that for me, because I've been.
Well, maybe you got a weird dick. No.
It bends to the left.
You fucking monster. No, like I guess like that kind of just comes from. Man, I don't know. How can I just speak for another person? I guess, but like, maybe you should just not value other people in that way, and maybe just try to lean more into the empathetic thing. Wait, like towards that, just kind of like. Because you don't know where someone is emotionally. You don't know where someone is, maybe they haven't gone through a bunch of relationships. They don't know how to handle this. Maybe the only relationship started once they were on phones. So they don't really know how to communicate or something. Or what's the appropriate way of communicating. Maybe no, go ahead.
I like that. because I feel like I do try to do that. And then what I've been struggling with lately, and this is really a better way to articulate and state what I actually want to say, is that I feel like I keep considering the needs of others, but then no one reciprocates back and considers mine. Like in this, ghosting scenario, right? Like I leave her alone. And by doing that, I'm considering and being empathetic and respecting her needs, but she does nothing to respect mine by giving me any closure. So, right, like how, in this perpetual search for just like mutuality and mutual respect.
Well, then just consider that not the right person. You know, if they're not showing you the respect that you feel like you deserve, then fuck them. You don't need to, like, as someone who has, did not get closure on something that they thought was more than actually was reality, it sucks. And you like, I mean, at this point, I would only want it just to learn from mistakes and,
right, gain some perspective.
Right, become better as a person.
Yeah.
And so now I'm kind of just left like speculating as opposed to knowing hard evidence as to why. It sucks, but all right, they weren't right. They weren't the right person. They weren't, maybe even they're the right person, but just not at the right place in their mind or something. Who knows? Like, you just don't know. Like, it's just, everyone's so different. Everyone's in just such a different spot that it's like, you don't really know what's going on, what's happening. So, instead of taking it as a personal offense, be more as like, all right, well, that person, like, consider yourself lucky that that person decided to ghost you because, they could have been a fucking nightmare person, 3 months down the line, once they get a little more comfortable and they open up a little bit more, they're not putting on that face, that front to kind of like impress you. So maybe it's almost a good thing that they're ghosting you, they're leaving you alone, that kind of thing.
Could have been.
It's.
Yeah, I mean, she was pretty wonderful though.
I mean, they're all wonderful, but like, you just gotta.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, just don't use Tinder. It's basically what I can tell you right now, because that shit happens all the time. You'll be like, oh, this girl's really nice, and she liked you back. You message her and nothing. You're like, all right, I guess that was nothing. I guess this is because a lot of people, I'm not gonna lie, I do it myself, use it as a self-esteem thing. You just go through and you're like, look at the people that liked me. I'm so goddamn special.
I don't know.
I mean, it definitely facilitates its own culture like that, where it's like you start you start seeing that kind of stuff. You're like, okay, they're not responding to me. Why would they not? Are they just literally using this as like, oh right, yeah, I fucking got it. And then you fucking, like, you kind of find yourself doing the same shit. You kind of find yourself, like, if you, and it also definitely helps when, like, you match with someone and you message them and then nothing, and you're like, all right, well, at least I'm pretty. Like, it's definitely a way to cope with it, but it's definitely a little bit easier. It's not the end of the world or whatever. It's not crazy, but, it's just, you got to kind of, it's easier, I've noticed, when ghosted, to just find a way to distance yourself, and if you can, walk out of it as like a beneficial thing, where it's like, hell, at least I got the thing I wanted. You got to have sex with her or whatever. You got to meet someone that was kind of interesting. You got to meet who you don't want to be with. You found like the pieces of the puzzle that are bad for what you want, like what makes you a better person or whatever. Like, there's different ways you can have whatever it is that you need to do to kind of sleep at night, for lack of a better term. You can kind of figure that out and piece it together. So it could be a good thing.
Yeah, I guess, right. I mean, I'm at now, so
yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is, you got ghosted. Oh, it fucking sucked. Damn that. Why would you do that? It's so mean. But then now you're open for more better potential opportunities. So you can just, go from there. So I think it's actually more a good thing, because the only real thing you're going to do to get them to respond is be a total dick. That's the only, like,
I could never, like,
I can't do it.
No.
I can't do it. Like, if I had conversations with people like, it's Tinder, fucking who cares, fucking do whatever. It's like, I just can't do it. I can't flame this person.
Right.
Like, I just feel so fucked.
Right. And that's the whole thing, is like, there's, I don't know, golden rule, treating people the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just seems like that's really fallen out of fashion.
Maybe.
You're right. So
I don't personally see it.
Statement. Yeah. So, and I think you're right. I just think that the way people want to be treated has changed.
Interesting.
And so,
what do you mean by that?
What was that?
Like, develop that.
Right. So, like, again, we're back to the example of ghosting, right? So,
okay.
like, she may just fully expect that. Like, that may be acceptable behavior.
Right.
So she's like, oh, it's fine. I would have people ghost me too. So we could just be coming from, different perspectives.
True. Or
right?
maybe she just, in her mind, it was just a hookup. She didn't want more than that. She just wanted that one night of, like, intimacy. Mm-hmm. But she's not looking for that long-term connection,
Right. Well, like,
Sure,
yeah.
she could communicate that better with you.
Right. And like, I don't know. Like just because there's an audience listening, I always like to like clarify points. Like it was stretched out over like a month and a half. So like, it wasn't just one, you know what I'm saying? Like it was kind of leading somewhere, but I don't mean to pick at your argument by like.
No, I didn't know that.
Like,
That's a detail
right.
that's important to that.
So, but you're absolutely right. Otherwise, you know.
Right. So, I mean, hey, you got someone now. That's good.
Yeah.
I hope you get another hug.
I'm so excited, man. That's for what she's like. You give really comforting hugs. I was like, I know. That's not how
Okay.
I'm down. But I did beam with pride on the inside.
That's good. Did you beam with pride in the shower that night?
No.
Oh, good.
No. Yeah, no.
Because that shit ain't water soluble. I found out. Fucking plug some drains. It's bad.
What? I feel like I saw that. Was that a Sienna thing?
I don't know.
I feel like
Yes,
that came
it
out
was.
freshman year when
Freshman year, they put posters up and they're like, "Don't jerk off in the shower, assholes." And
Yeah.
we're like, "All right."
Oh man. So really interesting.
I forgot about that. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
You're right.
We could, right? I mean, two guys talking on a Friday night. Like, we could turn the conversation to masturbation for a second.
All right, feel free. Let's go. Favorite method. No, okay, go ahead.
That's not where I was going to go with this.
Because I recommend the sock.
I never done that actually. So
Easy cleanup.
Yeah. So it's going to be about methods, but
All right.
I was hanging out with someone. I think she was a romantic partner. I can't remember who. at
Good
this
Lord.
point, but
What wild, crazy rock star life do you live?
I don't live a crazy wild rock star life. I live a 0% rock star life. I was cool for 6 weeks, at which time I proceeded to ruin my entire life forever.
Nice.
Because I totally couldn't handle it. They like passed me the ball as like a wide receiver at like the final play of the Super Bowl, and I caught it and like started running and got so excited I ran the wrong way. Like, that's kind of what happened.
Rich analogy.
Yes.
Paint the picture.
So back to this. So I hang out with her.
Okay.
And she was talking about guys masturbating, and she was like, we were in college at the time, and she was like, I can't believe like if these guys don't jerk off in the shower, like what do they just do in their beds? And at the time I was like, that's what I do. Like, and but she goes on and says, like, what, you just like come all over yourself? And I was like, I'm totally shifting my eyes right now. People can't see this. I was like, so yeah.
Interesting method.
That was the funny
I see.
that I was going to. And then I wanted to talk about porn.
Okay.
Let's talk about porn.
Okay.
This is something that
I'm just gonna say right now, I don't recommend using paper towels like I did. 'Cause that was bad and caused damage. Tristan was like, "Yeah, use paper towels. Just throw them out. You're good to go." And I was like, "Okay," but then like I didn't think to not just use it as a form of friction, but more of a catcher's mitt. So I caused some pain. But let the record show that it didn't stop me from finishing. You know, I was like, "Oh, hey, this hurts." And I threw the paper towel out, and I got a sock. We finished. We moved on with the day. I was not gonna let that go. That boner was there. That boner needed use.
God, men we just will stop at nothing. Like,
Dude, sometimes I'm shocked that I was like, "Ow, this really hurts."
yeah.
Let me continue with a safer method.
So like I told you about the time I like semi-fractured my penis, right?
I don't know if I know the cause of it. I know the aftermath.
Because I might have ran into you like that night freshman year.
You probably did.
But yeah, so you know,
What caused it?
really hard.
So
really,
you bled into a condom. That's what the
yes,
ultimate
but it was
result was?
It was painful during, and like it was really
Okay.
like it was doggy, but like
Okay.
it was really painful. But I kept going, right? Because why would you stop, right?
But like what caused the initial damage? Was it something from earlier in the day or was it that sex
No,
event?
it was that sexual experience.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Were you just doing it wrong?
No, I don't
Okay.
know. To this day, I can't. I mean, I haven't. You know, for the ladies listening, I've like worked to improve my technique
Okay.
through constant self-reflection and practice.
Practice.
Yeah.
The fuck you doing to your body, Billo?
Oh boy.
So I'll tell you what I'm doing to mine. No,
Yeah.
I don't have one.
When Tom told me before the show that if there was something I wanted to edit out, this might be one of those moments. Yeah. Again, I'll reiterate, I'm not cool, and
Hey,
I've
neither am
never
I.
been. But yeah. So yeah, it was just that time.
That's weird.
And yeah.
Okay,
And
interesting.
blood. Yeah. And,
Did you actually go to the hospital?
oh yeah, I went to the ER. I
Oh,
called my
wow.
dad at 4 a.m. on a
Wow.
Saturday night or Friday night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you intoxicated at all?
I had a couple beers, but at the time that we had hooked up, we were sober.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, and then that was a great night.
Did you finish or she finish? Or like, did you have to be like, all right, this has to stop, something's wrong, or did you like?
No, so I finished, and I guess this was like probably the majority of, I guess maybe this is typical of freshman year sexual experiences. I feel like it is just from people I've talked with, but she did not finish because I went to the hospital, and then I actually came back, and like we did it again because like I wasn't pleased with my performance.
Bold strategy.
Yeah, and it hurt again and did not go better.
And back to the ER, back for my second visit.
And then we went and got Dunkin' Donuts and laughed because she made the Family Guy chicken fajitas joke when we were at the drive-thru.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a keeper.
I tried. Like everyone, I always try.
At least you're giving it that old college try.
The old college try. God.
But at least
I love people, Tom. I really have to state too for everyone who potentially hears this. Like I have nothing but respect for anyone who's ever come within like 2 feet of me.
Oh
and,
yeah.
Like, given me a chance.
Oh
I don't know. People are wonderful. And this goes back to what I wanted to tell you earlier.
Okay.
When you were talking, about, I guess, your kind of lack of self-confidence and some of the social anxiety and everything like that.
Spooky.
Yeah. You will be amazed. And for your listeners too, if there's anyone out there who goes through the same issue, like you will be amazed at how forgiving people are.
Huh.
I mean, like, the girl who ghosted me, I was hanging out with her and was there the night Trump was elected, right? So, like, talk about where were you? Like, I've never felt more isolated, alone, and hated in my entire life.
Interesting.
Because I had voted for Trump. And, I don't want to use, like, I guess I will use the word coward. Like, I'm not sure. And I felt like I made the right decision for the right reasons at the time. And, she and her roommate were just sitting there sipping a bottle of wine and sobbing.
Wow.
Like, they thought the world had ended, right? Like, they didn't go to class the next day, which for everyone who did that is the biggest BS I could, like.
I didn't have time to be emotional because I was being sexually harassed by a coworker. So,
Oh, man. But yeah, so, although actually, Vietnam War giving me some perspective, them not going to class the next day might have been an interesting protest. So maybe I need to rethink that. If I had thought they went to class because they cared about the moral position and not just because they were so personally, emotionally distraught.
Well, why would you think
over
they're personally
an abstract political figure?
Why do you think they're personally, emotionally distraught? Like, they might have thought it was more. I mean, I can't speak for what they thought at the time, but like they might have legitimately thought, like, this person I like is going to get deported. This person that's gay is going to get arrested. Like
Right. So I'm sure that's absolutely the kind of stuff that was going through their minds. Or, like Tim mentioned with his sister about how someone who had, allegedly been accused of, sexual assault and or bragged about it, not allegedly, but actually had bragged about it, so I'm sure that was, going through part of the mind as well. And so I guess, all right, I eat my words now. I apologize, everyone, right? Thank you, right? So people can learn. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like it was definitely a weird time.
Yeah, so anyway, so people are forgiving. So even though I had done that and that had caused such distress for her, and with later women, by the way, who I've been involved with, like even it was, forgiving and understanding too because I had to tell her that I voted for him as well because
you did.
I did, yeah.
Like no, you
like
did.
Well, she had asked.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
Okay.
But
I was gonna say, did you just feel compelled? You're like,
no.
I must have toned.
No, I don't apologize for the decision I made because for me it was the right decision at the time. But yeah, no, and still forgiving enough to let me share part of our world for a bit. So people are super forgiving, and like even when I first started talking with like I said really goofy stuff and stupid stuff because I was out of practice or I was so nervous about meeting someone new and not being myself, and I mean if you were interested in someone, you have that crush, you have that little feeling, like you would give them a chance, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Like I remember she told me this one story when we first started talking. This was like one of our first conversations, like real conversations, where she was literally explaining how she was a volunteer and she changed garbage bags at a hospital. And like, that's probably the most boring story you could possibly imagine. But, you know, that's what she went with. And I respected her and I was interested. And so it's hard for people like us because I feel like we are so like self-inquisitive and so self-doubting and self-depreciating that, you know, we look at something that we say that's not interesting or not as well worked as it could have been, and we put ourselves down for it. But, you know, if someone's interested in us, they're going to give us the benefit of the doubt, and they're going to look past all that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you're definitely right. Yeah. And
so
like,
I would just caution you to remember that, you know, like.
And like, I definitely, you know, I'm definitely bringing up some of the self-doubt, some of the self-deprecation stuff in here, but like, I don't ever want to be, like, not pitied, but like, have someone feel bad that I feel like I sometimes like second guess or question something and stuff like that. You know, it's like,
yeah.
I never want to be like a concern to someone else for something like that. 'Cause it's like, you know, I can handle it.
Right, absolutely. I mean, you're an adult. I mean,
so like, you know, I can definitely see like, you know, I personally, and like a lot of the relationship stuff too is because I didn't even really begin pursuing until like sophomore year of college.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really become a thing until then. And at that point I just felt like, you know, I'm at Go and everyone else is at some later street in Monopoly. I don't know streets in Monopoly, but
streets in Monopoly building. Yeah, no, there's Boardwalk.
Boardwalk's way too far
Park
though.
Place.
Like that
Baltic
would be like,
Avenue.
That isn't that
Electric
also
Company.
I don't know. Like, I'm not saying these
Short
girls are in
line
the dark blue ones where they're fucking, you know, DVV
right.
DV. No, what is it? DVDA? Yeah, that's it.
Divorced.
Double vaginal, double anal.
Oh,
Just learned about that recently.
Did you?
Yeah. DVDA. It's the name of a band that the two South Park guys have for that exact purpose because it's a silly fucking sexual act. But yeah, like I'm not saying these girls are off doing that shit, but like they felt like they were way ahead of me where I was like just kind of getting started and like I didn't really know what to do. So like I was going through like what most people do in high school and everyone's fucking up and like, but everyone like I felt like most people were like, and this might just be my own projections, but they were like, all right, enough of you. And they would like be like, moving on. And they'd go away because I was just like doing stupid high school shit. And they're like, I'm past that. Moving on. So that might have just been my own projections and shit, but it definitely kind of felt that way at times. But
do you ever listen to music on the show?
On this show? I mean, I can.
Oh, no, it was just an idea. I mean, we have the headsets on and stuff like that, so it probably wouldn't, you know, work out in practical terms. But I was like, 'cause that would have been a good moment to play like Blink-182's Nobody Likes You When You're 23, that one.
I can't help you because I just can't get into that band.
No?
Tried so many. I've literally tried like 4 times where I'm like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to appreciate Blink-182 and it never happens.
You know what? That's understandable. I can get that. I mean, I didn't appreciate them until I went through like a different stage in life. And by that stage, I mean...
You say I'm not developed enough to understand Blink-182?
Nope. What I'm saying is that you didn't drunkenly lay in some questionable people's arms at the University of Rhode Island, so...
I definitely didn't do that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
And like, you didn't punch... I don't know if you ever punched a wall, but like...
Oh, I punch walls.
You know, yeah. Like, that was my punching walls phase.
I've done quite a bit of damage to
Brand
things.
New, all those good bands were that kind of phase.
I love Brand New.
Yeah,
I don't really associate Blink-182 and Brand New together though.
You know, I thought about that as I was saying what I just said. And this is the unfortunate, you know, fact of recording everything.
It's true.
You know, I tend not to think before I speak a lot of times.
It happens.
You know, but I did start liking Blink-182 around that same time.
Interesting. The only real person I knew who was super to Blink-182, it was this girl that I had met at a party, and I'd done the
rock
typical...
show?
What?
You met her at a rock show?
No, just a party at Santa.
Oh, okay.
And it was just like a typical college thing where... So, here's what happened. I show up at this house, and then there's blackness. And then I wake up, and... Not like wake like I pass out, but like the next memory I have is like, there's a girl who's like back is to me, and like my hand is like across her like her body, like almost like a seatbelt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. And then I go out again. And then I remember coming back to, and I'm playing beer pong with,
I did not see that coming.
Matt Banville or something.
Whoa.
Like he's my
Talk
opponent.
about a blast from the past.
Yeah, and we're just playing beer pong, and like, oh no, we're partners. We were teammates because I kept shouting League of Legends references at him. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking hit this skill shot, and I would like throw the ball and like get it in. I think we won, and then we had like a good like pal moment. We're like, dude, I fucking love you. We're such a good friend, and whatever. We had some kind of thing like that, and then blackness again. I don't remember what weekend it was too, because Fred was there. So Fred was at our house. This is senior year. So we go back to my townhouse, and she goes upstairs, and then I go to Fred, and I'm like, I need condoms, and he just had a bunch for some reason. So I grabbed a whole bunch, and I went upstairs, and then nothing. And then all I can remember is waking up in Nick's bed, who wasn't there that weekend. So sorry, Nick. I slept in your bed. She slept in mine. No sex was had, and she threw up on my wall. And that was that story.
Wow.
And
what color was the vomit?
It was like green.
Ugh.
And I was like, well, for once, I didn't throw up, but like I had to like take care of it. So like she went downstairs, and I was like, I'll clean this up. So yeah, I guess I was so like against sleeping with her, like in my blackout drunken state. I'm like, she's not the one that I want to have sex with right now. Like I don't feel any emotional connection. And then I just didn't even sleep in the same bed. Like I was super like my subconscious was like, nope, fucking abort, and just like took me away. So I slept in Nick's bed. Thanks, Nick, for not being there, I guess, or we would have cuddled, because I was not anywhere near this girl. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm emotionally not ready for her, and like, she was like a freshman. So she was like really like emotionally young, I guess.
Yeah.
So like, I can't do this. But yeah, I just like, I always thought that was super weird. And like in my subconscious, I was like, even here, where I'm blackout drunk, I have no memory. I have no memory of, all I can remember is grabbing the condoms out of Fred's bag and then waking up the next day. And there was just like, I woke up and I was like in Fred, like Nick's bed. I'm like in my clothes still. And I can kind of vaguely remember like getting into the room like in the dark and then like falling down. And it's just like I just like in my subconscious, like, nope. And like apparently she threw up and shit. So maybe like that was part of it, where she like threw up and I was like, I'm just going to be over here. I'm going to avoid this completely. But yeah, it was super weird. But yeah, she was super into Blink-182, because we talked about, I was like, when we woke up, we started talking and I was like, she's actually awful. I made a good decision.
So let me tell you something. This is great. So we went to a Glass Animals concert at Brewery Omegang.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, so like we stayed over, camped out. My first sort of festival experience. And it was it was a really good time. But
I never camped at a festival, but I really want to.
We should go. We would have a really good time. And the people there...
Unfortunately, these festivals are fucking infinite money now.
Right, so I wouldn't do a festival, but I would definitely do Brewery Omegang again.
Okay.
Because here's my logic, right, as an adult. They had the correct number of porta potties, hand washing stations, plenty of fresh water, and plenty of food, and just the facilities were good, and it was a sold out show, and it was not uncomfortably crowded. It was a good crowd for party experience.
Okay,
but not to
Where
the point.
was this held?
Brewery Omegang.
Where's that?
Cooperstown, New York.
Have I been there? I think I've been to a show.
The Baseball Hall of Fame is there. More importantly than the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Farming Museum is there.
It does not sound interesting.
Oh. I read a book recently called The Golden Age of Homespun. I won't tell any more about it other than the description. But published in the 1950s by a guy who was in his 80s, who grew up on a farm and went to Cornell University, which is like a premier agricultural university in New York and kind of the country. But he went to Cornell in his 20s, and then he wrote this book using like 1855 census data.
Okay.
And oral tradition, because he was 80, remember? So like guys who were 80 when he was like 12, he remembered their stories. So they were kind of alive during this period from like 1840 to just before the Civil War, when like everything was made on the farm. And kind of that last, he calls it the Golden Age of Homespun, before industrialization really took home, and this whole way of life was lost.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But Brewery Omegang Festival.
I'm pretty sure I saw a show there. I think it was in Cooperstown. I saw a show at a brewery that was like large-ish venue, and it was like well put together. I want to say it was Cooperstown. Is that Cooperstown, or there's one in Utica I think I went to. Okay. So I'm not sure if it was one. I definitely did. Oh no, that's a different brewery. Similar concept, but yeah, same thing.
Okay. But like, speaking of you talking to this girl about Blink-182, did you tell her that you didn't like them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and how did she react?
Shocked.
Yeah.
Because everyone who's a Blink-182 fan is like, what? How? Yeah. I'm like, I don't, whatever. Not having this conversation the 19th time.
Yeah. So like prior to the Glass Animals show, I wasn't a huge fan. Like like their music. They play it on WQX.
Oh, I
like
think
the
they're
local
dope.
radio station
Yeah, I like
here.
them a lot.
To me, they strike that uncomfortable line between like pretension and like between, I guess, pretension and like hipsterness, like
Okay.
where they kind of act like they have that like superior worldview. Or so I thought from their music and their presentation style and everything.
Okay.
But then when I went to see them, I kind of gained new respect. They're just like a couple of young kids from Britain trying to make good music that they like.
Yeah, because
and
I
have
would
a good time.
I never got that from them.
super
I
grateful.
would say like
basically like their lyric content and just
right.
the overall presentation of their songs.
Because I would definitely say like A Vampire Weekend gives off that vibe. Bunch of rich kids from Long Island, and then one of them thinks he can make a fucking anime. What are you doing? What the fuck's that shit about?
Interesting. So
but,
I never got that vibe from Vampire Weekend because I always just thought they knew they were nerdy white kids from like Cape Cod who,
they
or Long
fucking
Island, wherever they're from, who just
maybe they're from Cape Cod. I don't know.
created that persona for themselves.
But
But I was
I don't
at
know.
in line.
They only have 3 good songs anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly. But I was like in line for the bathroom, and this like 30-something-year-old girl starts talking to me, and she's like, "Oh, so like, what do you think of the concert?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's pretty good." And she's like, "Oh, like the Glass Animals hadn't come out yet, so there's other bands." She's like, "Oh, I can't wait to see the Glass Animals. I love them so much. Like, do you really like them?" And I was like, "Oh, not really." And like I just destroyed her entire concert experience because everyone's there. It's like, "Oh, peace, love, like we love you, like the best band ever." And I was like, "Well, I'm kind of just here because like I kind of like their stuff. I'm giving them a chance."
Wow.
And
You ruined her life.
I did, but like I'll never forget the expression on her face that just changed from one of extreme interest to one of like, "Oh."
Yeah, it is super weird. I would have, like it happens. Like there are definitely things where I hear someone's like, "Oh, I'm not a huge fan." I'm like, "How?"
Yeah.
Which is super scummy. I hate when I do that.
Yeah.
Like I hate when anyone does that to me, and like sometimes I try not to. I try to catch myself whenever I do something like that, or I'm like, "This would bother you. Don't do this shit right now."
Yeah.
Or like kind of what I've been doing lately is when someone's like, "Oh yeah, I don't really like this thing," I'll like try to put myself in their shoes and be like, "Yeah, I guess you could see that." Like not, if someone was like, "Yeah, One Piece not that great," I'd be like, my heart hurts, but I guess there are things that might be a little silly. Yeah, sure. Like I can figure out a way to like work it out and not because I'm not looking to get into a shouting match unless someone's gonna tell me that Chie is best waifu, in which case I'll fucking stab you.
Oh God, that for those in the audience, the reference is lost on me. I am sitting here with a blank expression on my face, just smiling in support of Tom as he does his thing.
Just kill any Chie lover. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'll fucking murder you all. Let's fucking fight. Debate me right now.
Yeah.
If you want to tell me Makoto Nijima is not the best girl to ever exist, then I'll fucking... Jesus, I can't imagine. Like, this fight we gotta have is gonna be bloody.
You tell that mean Ocean Todd.
What?
Wedding Crashers.
Oh, okay. I've only seen that movie once, and it was with you.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. I did like it a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's me and Tristan have decided that we have to watch that movie with all our future girlfriends forever and ever and ever.
Wait, what does that mean? Like, once a year, you hang out with your girlfriends and you, and then...
Oh, no. Like,
like
you
show that to your girlfriend.
right, whatever romantic part. Yeah, exactly.
Got
like someone who we're serious about.
For some reason, I thought this was
movie.
like a yearly event where you bring your girl, like some weird cult where it's like, we're gonna bring our girlfriends down to this area and we watch fucking Wedding Crashers, and then, like, I don't know,
Then
have an orgy or something.
Yeah.
What do cults do these days? Do cults still exist?
Oh yeah.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Scientology exists. Fucking okay, yeah. Fucking shots fired at Scientology. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Have you watched that documentary?
I have not. So my only Scientology story is went to visit my uncle in Tampa in 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to visit my uncle in Tampa. My parents brought me on vacation to Florida so we could visit Tampa.
Okay.
And while there, coincidentally, I visited my uncle. And he drove me around one day to go get lunch. And he has a Jeep, Wrangler with this like a stick shift. My uncle was super cool at the time. He's still super cool. He played in a rock band who played like Victoria's Secret shows. He has like thick dark hair, guitarist, just a handsome guy, strong legs, played semi-professional rugby.
Okay.
And we're cruising down the street and he's like, "Oh, that's the Scientology building right there." in Florida, this big skyscraper looking thingy.
Mhm.
And then Kielbasa by Tenacious D comes on his radio, and he just turns it up. And like shy little me, who spent this entire vacation reading Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand in the hotel room with the
Wow.
AC on, right in Tampa, Florida, was nervously excited by how like these attractive women were pulling up next to us. And Tenacious D is singing about his fat kielbasa sausage and butt cheeks, and I don't think I'd said the word butt cheeks at that point in my life yet. So
Wow.
yeah.
You're a naive little boy.
Oh yeah. I didn't fully understand that vaginas were like vertical probably until like mid high school.
I don't know why I never was one of those kids who thought they were horizontal.
Is that like, I feel like that just makes so like, now that I'm a little more experienced, like it makes so much more sense that they are the way they are. But like,
I
don't know
never thought
why.
that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if, like, I don't know. I have no idea why. Like, I've heard that before. Other kids were like, I always thought it was horizontal. It's like, I don't know how that happens. But I also don't think I thought about it too much. That might be why I don't, like, have that
Right.
memory, is I just never really thought about it.
Right.
It just never was like, oh, yeah, what a female's genitals. Like, I don't think that ever, like, I barely thought of my own genitals.
Very true. That's a great
I
point.
just never really, like, I never really needed, like, that brain space, I guess.
Yeah. When did you start becoming sexually in tuned?
9th grade is when it started for the first time, where it was like, oh. And then when I really felt like kind of...
Teacher, please don't call me to the blackboard.
yeah, stuff like that kind of shit. And then probably like sophomore year of college was like when it kind of was more like, okay, maybe I should pursue a person, like another girl, like try to actually get this, like let me just figure this out,
Mm-hmm.
So definitely delayed and like kind of slow, but yeah, I don't know. What about you? What was your...
Yeah, I mean, mine actually wasn't until, like, mentally, I feel like I'd always wanted to want to,
Okay.
but never did until junior year of high school, yeah. So,
Okay.
again, same with you, like, kind of a later onset there.
Yeah.
Because, like, my cousins told me, it was like, oh, yeah, I was, like, 6th grade. I was like,
Yeah,
you
I've heard
virile
that too.
piece
Yeah.
of man hunk.
No,
Like,
never. I do remember having like
boners.
like kind of like baby boners when I was like 2 and 3, like mild stimulation down there, and like not really understanding what was happening.
This is silent laughter over here. I'm collapsed in my chair.
But nothing really was like, it wasn't like I didn't understand what it was like. It wasn't like a consistent like an understanding of what was happening till about 9th grade, where I was like,
Right.
oh, all the things. Okay, I see. Like this, when this happens, this is what this means, and this is all this stuff, and
Right.
And like I don't necessarily know if like fucking all the people I was hanging out with were true, but a lot of people talking a big game in middle school and in high school, being like, oh yeah, fucking bitches all day. Like I don't know how much of that
it
true.
happens, man.
I don't doubt it, but like I don't know. I have no way of proving or disproving these kids, but like they kept saying this stuff. I'm like, I don't know, I don't get it. And then it popped up. I was like, oh,
Yep.
But then but like 9th grade, it was that like teenage boner where you're like, I don't know how to control this thing. It just starts up. I don't know what happened. Like, how do I do this?
Ding.
Yeah. Well, I'd be like half asleep in a class, like laying down, then I'd be up, and I'm like, I'm now full torque, and this class is gonna end in 5 minutes, so I gotta figure out how to fucking handle this.
Oh man, great times.
God,
Great
nothing
times.
is better than when the random boner stopped. That was a goddamn blessing.
They still haven't stopped.
I mean, they still pop up, but like I'm talking like on the hour, they would just be like going
Oh,
off.
yeah,
And like
yeah,
I'm like,
right.
I don't know. I'm watching the paint dry. I don't know what's going on. Like, like
Oh,
it was
God.
just
Sexual promiscuity is very interesting. I think one of the most poignant memories that I have from freshman year was actually at URI when I was walking back from going to get a calzone at the top of campus. Great calzone shop up there for anyone who ever travels to Kingston, Rhode Island. And I just see these two teens, college kids, just going at it.
Wow.
Right, like this was a Monday night. This was like a Monday night
wow.
at 10:30 at night.
She's in the street.
And there was a sidewalk that runs like uphill through campus,
Mm-hmm.
from the freshman dorms, which are the very bottom of this hill, and then the college campus is like laterally splayed out going up the hill, and the sidewalk kind of cuts through the middle. And Yeah, there was, I think, sophomore dorms there with like a little lawn in front of them. And then as you travel between the sophomore dorms to the sidewalk, there was a row of bushes that were maybe like 4 feet tall.
Okay.
But they're the kind of bushes where like, you know, they have like a foot or two of clearance underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like half in the clearance underneath. So you could see everything. And like the other side of them was completely exposed. And like his pants were around his ankles and her pants were around her ankles. Like, didn't even take their clothes off.
And you just watched the whole time.
No, I kept walking after I
Come on,
glanced
man.
at it, but
Gotta watch for the rest of us.
But no, that moment really struck me because it just reminds me that people are really cool and interesting, and that these two were so attracted to each other and so in the moment that they shared that. And I don't know, I thought that was very neat.
And you shared it with them by watching them.
So I wouldn't say I watched them. I saw them.
I mean, if you want to watch, it's cool, man.
No, I mean, I wanted to like, it's their moment. Like, I didn't want to, like, God forbid if that
And
would
now it's yours.
like, that would have been ruined. Like, if I spoke up or if I said something stupid,
You're
if I
like,
was
hey,
like-
could you please thrust a little
yeah,
harder?
or if I was like, get it, you know, like those god awful jackasses, like that could have ruined that for them, you know?
I mean, you
but
could have directed
instead-
them. Maybe you could have helped. Maybe being a porn director is in your future. And you don't even know it. You didn't take that opportunity. That was God being like, here's a chance for him to realize he's a fantastic fucking porn director.
Have you seen Friends?
I've seen parts of Friends.
Have you seen the episode of Ross is like, pivot?
No.
Oh, man.
I'm not Tristan. I don't have a wealth of Friends knowledge. Just
the-
at the ready.
The
At my
joke
beck
is
and call.
lost. Audience, please laugh and redeem me.
I mean, it's probably funny. People like Friends. I've never watched it. You have this beer?
Negative.
Excellent.
I'm going to shout out to my father, Joe. He's
Shout out to
been
Joe.
A Genesee drinker his whole life because it's the discount beer of champions. He'll tell you he has a lot of food allergies, and Genesee is extremely clean brewed.
So I'm a big fan of this can design because where the flavor would be, it just says beer.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's pretty much a basic upstate
It's just
New York
logo
product.
and beer, and that is what this says, and that's a great fucking design.
Dude, I'm falling more in love with upstate New York every day I live here.
Fascinating, because I'm the exact opposite.
Oh, it's so great.
How?
So, I mean, I love the women. Like, I can't, like, literally, people, like, this is a weird analogy. People just get over it. Like, our parents in upstate New York plant our women in, like, the finest soil you could imagine. And then they just grow up to be these, like, gorgeous, confident, kind, smart, funny, solid, like, just solid, like, strong-legged, just cool, like, down-to-earth, earthy, crunchy. So, like, you know, like, she's from between, her town's from is weird, but I think between Rochester
In Bonetown?
and
That's right.
and Syracuse.
Let's go.
But yeah, so she's from there and she's moved around a bit, but like, so she's from upstate, and then like was from Hampton, New York, which is near the Vermont border.
Okay.
Also very upstate. You know, I won't go down the whole list, but like, I don't know, man. There's no one like them anywhere. You know, because they're like Portland chicks, right? So like, you know, they're like girls on the West Coast who are also earthy and crunchy and wear flannels, except in upstate. How do I say this? Because this isn't meant to be rude, you know, like they're not as cultured, or like they're not
Yeah, I'm not following what you mean.
right. So like, I'm gonna start talking out my butt in a second here, which is why I'm delaying, because everything that I know of West Coast women is just from media and magazines and like
Seems wrong.
TV and sources outside of actual, you know,
Actually
West Coast
being
women.
there and actually
Right,
meeting
right,
a West
right.
Coast human being, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. My perception, which could be completely false, of West Coast women, especially Northwest Coast women, right? Not California girls, because those are different, and everybody knows that. But like, you know, like
Katy Perry knows that.
like, but like the Portland girls, is that, you know, like they might. No, I really can't even finish this sentence because I'm wrong. So I'm just gonna stop now and just say what I do know is that upstate girls are the best, and they're so solid. And I just love them all and have so much respect.
I'm
for
not
them.
saying they're ugly. I just don't like. I don't know. I just don't feel like
They have like those 20th.
there's a couple of fucking good bangers, but like it's not like. And I don't mean that in a sexual
Potatoes.
way. I mean
He's
like
talking about potatoes.
I mean like in a I guess a party way. I don't really party. I don't know, whatever. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely some attractive women up here, but like I don't know if that would be like, I don't know if I would define the region that way, you know.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, so right. So home is where the heart is. My heart is always with whatever woman I'm with.
Right.
So
you bury and nestle that shit deep in there. Like, I'm here to stay. And she's like, I never said you could move in. You're like, fuck you. This is home.
Yeah. But yeah, so that, I mean, there's that. But then, I don't know, like this area is kind of boring.
Super boring. That's why I don't understand why you love it so much.
Right. But it's so solid. You know, I mean.
How so, though?
Right. So like, I don't know, like.
It's like a solid piece of shit? Sure. But like.
It's just solid? So, like the rest of the country moves on, you know, and goes in this whole different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And in upstate, I mean, there's a reason why upstate voted, like half of upstate voted for Trump. You know, like if I have to pick
that's a
one
good thing?
variable. All right,
because
so,
we're not like actually a moving group.
You know, Tom, you caught me in a flustered moment here. I picked the worst possible. Like I'm trying to find a factor people can associate with to articulate the crazy thought process.
Don't go to Trump.
All right,
he's the most decisive person in this country right now.
All right. So I'm just going to redact that.
Feel free.
Thank you. And thank you, audience, for dealing with my incompetence. As it's my first time on a microphone.
And you're doing a fine job.
Thank you, sir. You're doing a fine job hosting. So this is what I always told you about when like, you have your brothers on.
Yeah.
You have such a good talent for bringing out the best in guests.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And like, I hope people really appreciate that. Audience.
Get fucked. I mean, I definitely try to. I joke with a couple people, but I'm like, I can get 3 hours at anyone. You know, like I can try to pull out what I need to do. Like I can try to get something going. And it's like but like talking's just easy. I don't know. It's just not like a difficult task. But
for some,
I guess for some definitely. I mean, I fucking can't talk to a girl to save my life because I'm all full of the scares.
Spaghetti
everywhere.
Out.
It's just fucking spaghetti tsunami. Spaghetti. That's a reference I haven't really made since like freshman year of college. So it's been a long time since I've had to make that joke. But you know, sometimes you gotta bring a fucking stupid joke back from the internet from mid 2000s. Sometimes that I don't know. Yeah, it's about the mid 2000s that joke started.
Yes. So going back to upstate. Yeah. Let me try and wrap this up concisely instead of doing the classic Pat thing where I draw out a story for 4 years and don't get to the point. So upstate. I mean, the history here is so rich. It's so solid and traditional, and what I think preserves. I don't know. Just this is the kind of place where you'd want to raise a family. Like
I definitely can't take that away. Like, it's definitely very historic and shit. Yeah.
Right. And like as a single young person, you know, it's not the most exciting. Like it's not New York City where you've got all these interesting, fun, you know, like creative arts programs going on all the time. But you've got a little solid community theater, and people don't realize too. Like Albany was like the second most important city in the United States. I
literally did not know that until recently when you were telling me about this.
Yeah,
like
until
how important
1840.
It was. Yeah,
like literally it was the best. Like in the Revolutionary War, like the British, you know, took Albany, but the Hudson River, which runs through Albany, you know, to New York City, which was like the biggest commercial port, aside from maybe Boston, although I think New York was bigger at the time of the Revolutionary War, like that controlled everything. Mm-hmm. If you cut the Hudson River in half, you'd cut the colonies in half and you'd destroy the colonial war effort and we'd be done. Mm-hmm. So much so to the point that we stretched the largest metal chain ever built in history across the Hudson at West Point. Huh. So, yeah, I mean, there's so much rich history here. I don't know. It's solid.
I mean, I definitely agree. I'm not going to say I agree that this is the best place to raise a family, but fun fact about my family was my dad was offered, because my dad worked for Toyota for like 23 years or something. Mm-hmm. He now works for Nissan. But when I was like, right after I was born, he was offered a job to work at like Toyota Corporate in California. Mm-hmm. And they turned that down because my aunt lived out in California and she was moving back to Connecticut to be like, we don't want to raise a family out here.
Yep.
And so my parents
they picked Connecticut, which is equally as awful. So
right.
I mean,
Connecticut's a fucking armpit, but you know, whatever. But my parents took that and were like, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't move to California. And so we never did for that exact reason. Now, do I think that would have been awesome for me? And am I going to be super selfish in Tom, this like past look?
You know,
yeah.
Can we talk about what your life would have been if you grew up in California?
Dude, I would have been fucking crazy.
All right, you would have been a skater kid. It's like, oh, please.
I mean,
you would have had no personality.
Let's be fair. I dress like a skater kid, but I have never touched a skateboard in my goddamn life. That's not true. I have tried when I was really little, but I was like, this is hard, so I gave up because I'm a quitter.
Yeah. I won't tell you about the time I bought a pair of aggressive inline skates, went to the skate park once.
Aggressive? What does that mean?
So aggressive inline, it refers to, as opposed to like freestyle inline or just like road inline.
Okay.
So inline is
just 3 categories I didn't know existed.
Yeah, so inline skating is just the proper name for rollerblading.
Okay.
And then aggressive inline is when you do tricks and like skate park stuff, and like sometimes you'll have 2 large wheels and then 2 like smaller wheels in the middle, so that way you can grind.
I was just about to say, are the wheels different so you can grind? Okay.
And like you have a flat base on like the lateral to the wheels.
Okay.
On each skate that you can also use to grind. So
okay.
Yeah, but you would have been a skater kid, Tom. You would have been like, dude.
I mean, I kind of already do that.
No, you don't, Tom.
I say dude all the time.
Yeah, you say dude, you don't say dude.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
You're not like bro.
I'll say bro. I've called girls that I'm romantically interested in dude. So
some people like that.
I don't know. Dude, I don't understand the gendering of that. I feel it's just a good term. It's like, bro, you're just fucking, you're my dude. Like, I don't know. You're a good dude. Like, I don't know. Why does that mean a dude? I don't know. Or guys, that too.
Yeah, see, for me, I don't know, in my whatever mental process, dude, it always just has like a kinship or like platonic kind of connotation to it.
Platonic, so, I see.
Yeah.
But I don't see, I also agree. It's kind of just like a homie thing. You know, it's like, yeah, we're close.
Yeah. I do like homie, though. I will call girls homie.
That's a good word.
But that's cute.
But, you know, I mean, it's just us appropriating.
Is that what that's called?
I think that's what it's called. I don't know what that exact term exactly means. I just feel like I should say it. It's sensational. I can put it in the fucking tags.
Oh, hashtag appropriating.
I actually have no idea what that means. Like, I just can't.
I think you used it in the right context.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
That was my first time being super woke, so I hope I represented it well.
Oh my God. If we could talk about a phrase I hate.
Woke?
Woke.
I like the phrase. I wish it wasn't like almost exclusively used. Like, phrases I really enjoy, cuck and woke, I wish didn't have political like use for them, because I feel like those are just great words.
Right. So like is 20. And like, you know me, even though I'm 24, I still live in 1990, whatever, you know.
It's true. We're in flannel now.
Yes. And functional flannel, not like not Old Navy flannel, but like LL Bean, this shirt I've had since, you know, freshman year and so on and so on. Let me brag more.
Please.
Yes.
Make your dick bigger.
Yes.
Keep stroking it. Go ahead.
Yes. Tell me. Yes.
I didn't mean to turn this show into radio porn. All right, don't come on my show.
I love coming on your show. What, you don't want me to come on your show? Tom?
At least in private.
Well, there's no one else here.
It's true. Just continue with what you're saying. What are you doing? You live in the 90s. What does that mean?
I don't know what that means. Oh, so I had to ask to explain to me things like, what was it? So she used the word cuck all the time, which I think she explained it once and I still don't understand.
But you don't know what that means?
No.
Oh, it's when you watch someone have sex. But you watch someone have sex with someone that you're in a relationship to.
Because it's short for cuckolding.
Cuckold, yeah.
Right, like I know what a cuckold is.
Yeah, it's just shortening
that's like old-timey British speak. I understand that.
It's just a shortened way of saying that.
Okay.
But it sounds like fuck, so it's really fun to say.
Cuck.
It's really fun to say. It just kind of rolls off the tongue nicely. And like it's a nice insult to say to someone without calling them a cunt or a cuck or a fuck. So you can just say cuck, and it's wonderful because it does the both. And it's just like, it hits both words.
Like you're
it's like
such a chode that you like watch your partner.
Right. So like, and like chode just sounds like a joke word.
Right. Or it's out of style, like, man. It sounds really sucky. Like it just doesn't sound.
It sounds like something someone from the early 2000s is gonna say, and you're like,
yeah, like the main guy in American Pie. Who has sex with the pie. He looks like he would say chode.
Right. And it's like this isn't cool.
Right.
So you say cuck, and you're like, perfect. Now I sound like it's got that hard C, like cunt, but it also has the uck from fuck, and you're like, oh, I love this.
The uck.
This shit's fucking flowing. It fucking flows off the tongue.
The uck.
Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
But do you title these episodes?
Yeah.
Could we title this episode The Uck from Fuck?
Yes, we can.
Wow. My night was just made.
I'm glad.
So throw out some other some other common millennial terms that they use these days.
Well, woke is a big pop.
So
actually, I don't know if it's actually popular or
No,
just
it
used
is.
as a parody
Oh,
thing
yeah.
at this point.
Whatever's on BuzzFeed, right? That's what they use, right? Like BuzzFeed, like all these terms are on that. There was another one that was really good that everybody knows that I had no idea. It's an abbreviation. I think your brother used this. Not Ben, but the other one.
Mike. Do you have a context for it? Because I could probably figure it out.
You're looking at my face right now. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Because I don't know a lot of these terms. I have to go to Ben for most of them. Like, please explain this to me. I'm an old person.
Yeah. It's short for something extra.
Oh, extra.
Extra. He
that
used
was
it
Ben.
on your show.
Ben was saying that, yeah.
Yeah, extra. I had to have her explain to me what extra was.
Big fan of that one.
I
Big fan of
can't
that one.
stand it.
Oh, big fan.
I'm like, a word for this already exists. What are you doing?
They're being extra. That's what they're doing.
Like, you're literally being extra by using this word.
Yeah.
This whole, I don't know what I'm so like, I don't know. I just need to go. Like, so Bob Dylan has the song, The Times They Are Changing. And I've been reflecting on this a lot recently about how, the lyric, get out. This is a paraphrase, not exact quote. But, it's like, get out, like your old road is rapidly fading. Get out of the road if you can't lend a hand, for the times they are changing.
Okay.
Right? So basically this 1960s protest song telling these old Fs who like still support the Vietnam War and like all this other, I don't even know if it was written at the time Vietnam, so I could be erroneous in that. But basically all those people who aren't supporting social change, civil rights movement, everything, get out of the way.
Okay.
Like, stop that. I don't know, I'm thinking like, I feel like I'm in the way. Like, I feel like I'm walking
I was
on the road.
literally about to say that.
And
like, you seem to relate a lot to these like protest stuff from the era of the Vietnam War, but you're not relating to any of the protest stuff of today. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, is that weird for you?
A little. I mean,
because it doesn't almost, because you were saying there's such a parallel to it, but you seem to be disconnected, and you're the man. You're relating more to the man of today than you would of the man of the 60s. So like, how is that? What is that like for you right now?
I mean, it's so difficult for me. Just, I guess you're right, to like relate to, I'm just reiterating what you said. It's so difficult for me to relate to people today, just because I don't know, maybe it's the way I was raised. Maybe it's like talk about the tradition of upstate, like, I mean, for me, my perception of this generation, and even though I'm part of it and I'm technically a millennial, I don't associate myself as much with that group, just because I'm more about letting your actions speak for themselves.
Okay.
And like, you mentioned drawing blood, or having your blood drawn, donating blood earlier, right? Like, I donate, a very small amount of money to Sienna.
Okay.
Right? Because that's something I want to do. Or like I, donate some other places as well. And like, if I want to make a change, like I just act appropriately based on that. And I don't know, I feel like what's different about this group, at least from what I can see, is that people are more apt to just, like you talked about earlier, post something on Facebook for like the 1,000th time. Like there's this girl who always posts on Facebook like a link to some type of left-leaning article, and she's like, or some like right-leaning article, and she's like, this was wrong with America today, and like there's people aren't willing to engage in like civil discourse. And I don't know, I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, so feel free to cut me off.
Like, do you think that maybe, I don't necessarily say I believe this, I'm just going to jump off what you just said though, but like, is reposting this thing, sharing this article with that salacious headline of "This is what's wrong with America," a form of protest because you're just getting it out to more eyes? Is that like? Do you think there's a connection to that?
Yeah. So like,
instead of having to go out to a field and rally together with signs,
So this prompts me to say what I actually want to articulate and mean. So it feels so much to me like our culture is just fake and not authentic.
Okay.
Right. And so that's where I take issue with, or have a hard time getting behind a lot of these things. Right.
So what do you define as authentic?
Something that preserves the human element, and something that's just human.
Okay.
I mean, I don't consider, like, my gripes and issues with cell phones and smartphones.
Yeah.
And my first date test, which passed with flying colors, did not pull her phone out once.
Nice.
Like this culture of I don't know if impersonability is used in the correct context or if it's the right impersonability, but the right word. But like, this culture where, yeah, we share our voice, and hopefully people can detect my intonation on that. But it's not the same. It's not as authentic as like, somebody like posting how like cops are pigs, right?
Okay.
That's so different to me than the people during the civil rights movement who went there and got sprayed with fire hoses.
But saying the same message.
Yes, but I don't know. It's like they don't have skin in the game. There's no meat and potatoes to back it up.
I mean, I definitely agree.
Like you're protected through the virtual space of the internet. Like
right. Yeah. There's definitely less physical threat for posting online as opposed to showing up somewhere and a cop actually walks by, sees your cops are pig sign, and maybe reacts.
Right, and that's not the point I want to make. Right, like it's a good thing based on what you just said that people don't have to get fire hosed in the streets anymore. Right, that's a very good thing.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I guess because it's just not. I mean, let me break this down with an analogy. Right.
Okay.
So a lot of people would agree that porn creates, false expectations of sexuality for both men and women.
Okay.
Right, and so they go into their first sexual experiences. Traditionally it's been men. So men will traditionally go into their first sexual experiences like objectifying women. And that might continue throughout. And they might forget to understand the human element underneath it. And, I know in my own life at least, there's a big difference for me between something I read and something that's, just like you said, there's 300 million voices out there all being blared to me on like Facebook and Twitter and everything, versus when I'm with like a patient in the hospital and like actually seeing something before me with my own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So that to me is just where some of that authenticity is being lost.
I mean, I can't necessarily straight up disagree with you because, yeah, there is less. When you have less skin in the game, it's a lot easier to even just switch your focus. Puerto Rico gets blown up, but like a week before that it was Irma, and a week before that was Houston. And sure, it's all like the same thing, and all of them are horrible, and all of them, like especially certain situations, and all of them have their own horrible thing, but because they're not for a better use of a term, boots on the ground for each one of these.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to Houston, and they didn't go to Florida, and then they didn't go to Puerto Rico. Like they can just. I'm just speaking, I guess, in generalities for these people, but like they're going to be like, are they going to feel just as good by just going like and post like so sad about this post, and like is that really going to be enough for them? Like why like.
Right.
But then some people, they do the thing like, we're seeing all this stuff with the Las Vegas thing where people are donating a fuckload of money.
Oh, yeah.
People are donating a fuckload of blood. Like a lot of good shit has come.
So that was,
that one brought
the
people to
best
action.
Story. I love that story. The people who went out and the first thing they did was get in line to donate blood, and they had so many people, like that kind of story restores my faith in humanity.
Right.
Like I've become pretty cynical, and I do want to apologize for everyone out there, who, if some of my rhetoric or tone seems to be ignorant or judgmental, I mean, everybody does the best they can. And, everybody, just kind of approaches the world and approaches their way to make a change in, the best way that they can, the way that they understand it. Right. So like if for some people that's making that post and doing that, then good.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of benefits. So like, like in this era we live in, someone can just send $1 to $5 to this to a GoFundMe, but then fucking a bunch of people 100,000 people do that. Like fuck, a bunch of money just showed up. Like it's allowing a lot of people who wouldn't necessarily connect to help a cause in a way that they wouldn't necessarily do it, or in certain situations too, just posting it. Like there are so many times where like. And like, this is super like, mundane. It doesn't actually affect anything, but I have found other podcasts or other groups that I've loved because they are a guest on a podcast. I go, wow, they were really funny. Let me look into them. And then they become like, I found like, I watch and ingest all of Kind of Funny's content. They're a YouTube group that does a lot of podcast stuff. And I watch and, listen to all their stuff. And I found them they were on a Rooster Teeth podcast. And I like Rooster Teeth has like their podcast fucking went to the back burner, and then so like it allows for people to just, even if you're just sharing it, you're not necessarily like, I don't actually give them money or anything, but I enjoy all their content, stuff like that. They have options for me to do that, but I just enjoy their content. But they just because another group shared their shit, let me see something I actually love, or like, and in a more realistic sense, someone just being like, I can't donate to this thing right now, but hey, maybe someone else can. And then they see it and they go, you know what? That Vegas thing was fucked up. Let me donate $5. Let me donate $10 for this GoFundMe. And then it goes over there. So like, there is benefit for just posting something. Like it sometimes seems like just another noise in the crowd, fucking really annoying. Sometimes you're like, God damn it, I don't care. And sometimes people are just posting nonsense. They're like, if someone's just posting, I can't believe this happened. Like, yes, I agree. It fucking sucks. I don't need to know that you also think that necessarily. Right. But if you're necessarily posting something that could be something beneficial, I can see the benefit of that. And so there is a benefit for us all being connected.
So you know what? I think that you just kind of made me realize that what I'm trying to say, is that in our conversations tonight about people's, your voice and finding that is that every day we consume so much information and so much information is pushed at us. Right? But that, people know, like most people except for old people, you don't get into arguments on Facebook. Like,
right.
If you have, and this is where I guess some of the authenticity is lost and some of the human element is forgotten. Like you get into an argument on Facebook, you're not looking at the person. Right. You're not, seeing their facial expressions. You're not like, here, how many times tonight have I apologized for something? And I'm like, oh, you know what? Like you've like countered me with something, like where we've had just civil discourse, right, yeah. And so that I think is what's missing from a lot of the movements nowadays, where instead, and I'm sure we've all heard this from pundits, where people only go to the sources that support their view, or, people, I don't know, they don't engage with others in a realistic way. I mean, you've got to be out there like, standing face to face, or, just not afraid to, I don't want to say not afraid, but like, in homage to some of the protests of the past, where you were out talking with people and interacting one-on-one and marching in the streets,
No, it's definitely...
Which still exists too, by the way, like the Women's March in D.C.,
right. I definitely, and like that definitely, I'll get in a second, but like I definitely have gotten to arguments on Facebook, and with like never on like a post. I never understand people trying to publicly
or our group chat, our political group chat.
That is where I've had some real crazy arguments with people, and like I hate it too, because like there's such I can't remember the exact there's a Day9 he's an old StarCraft player. He does a lot of posts on like. He does like videos like talking about like life occasionally, but while he's like playing games, he'll do like highlights. And he had one about internet arguments, and it was like basically saying like when people are trying to win, like you look like an idiot, as opposed to trying to just hear the other person out and try to develop like take the 2 points and try to develop something out of what comes out of that, as opposed to just trying to win. I'm paraphrasing this horribly, but like. I do that so often where like we're in that group chat and then someone says, something crazy and you're like, I can't believe you actually believe this or whatever, and like, some people we know that are, they might have more militaristic views on ways of handling some of the things they're upset about. And it's like, man, I really don't agree with this. Like, this is crazy. Like, how could you believe this, that you would want like hurting someone else, like because they ideologically believe something different? That seems so crazy. Like, where is that coming? Like, and so, like, you, like,
right, but the virtuality of everything takes the human element out of that, right? It's one thing.
No, yeah, exactly. I would never have this. I would never be so passionate, so angry if I was in person with them. I would be like, I'd like, because I feel like even they would not go as deep. They would see what you're saying and be like, what are you talking about? And like, get the tone, get the reaction, and be like, oh. I'm being crazy, or like even me being like, I'm being way too worked up about this. Like,
right. Like it's like, like the cliche, like, you can talk about using military force to overthrow the capitalist pigs, but like when you actually put that brick through the shopkeeper's window and like, start breaking his stuff and then like beat him and see like the blood coming out of him, like,
and there's a psychological reason they conceal their faces. It's not to not get spotted necessarily, but it also allows you to become one with the crowd.
Yeah.
Humans love tribalism and becoming fucking a hive mind. Like they seem to be striving for that.
Yeah.
And so when your team is threatened and then everyone on the team looks the same. Everyone's wearing the same outfit. Everyone's wearing the same fucking Guy Fawkes mask. Everyone's just wearing a fucking bandana across his face. Whatever. It's so much easier to just be like, fucking let's go. Let's fucking light this fucking local business on fire that I might use daily on my commute to work. But right now, I'm a fucking soldier. You know, like, it's so much easier to like disassociate from yourself and then become the cause.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
I mean, that was so interesting in the Vietnam War, right? We talk about Antifa now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we think, oh, there's no way anything could have ever been like this before. But, I mean, these college students, they were burning down ROTC buildings on campuses everywhere. Mm-hmm. You know, they were running through the streets, rioting, and, you know, doing all this crazy stuff, like violent protests, you know?
Right.
And there was one group, I forget their name, but they, like, explicitly were a militant peace, in quotes, you know, peace group. Mm-hmm. That literally felt the only way they could get Washington to pay attention was to destroy a bunch of stuff, and obviously that had the opposite effect of what they intended.
It might have the opposite effect for their message, but it definitely has the effect of the attention game.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's a weird paradox thing where it's like, you do the thing where you're the peaceful group and you don't like want to cause trouble, fuck off, who cares? Mm-hmm. But if you're fucking burning shit down and, you know, breaking shit, the fucking news cameras are on you.
Yeah.
The attention is on you now. Like, I would have no reason to know what Antifa is. But because they go around and they fucking break shit and they cause problems, they take credit for crazy things that they have no relation to. Like,
right. Or you mean they act like fascists even though they're anti-fascists?
Yeah. Shit like that. Where it's like I would have no reason to know about them, but because they're like, the news is like, hey, look at these fucking crazy people being crazy. You know, like, wow, that's crazy. Like, but now, you know, and so it becomes like an attention. It's just like, now I focus on them. Now I know about them. Now their cause is at least known to me. And so even though I disagree with them, what if I was like kind of wishy-washy, on the fence, naive, could be influenced?
Speak to you.
Right,
what if
exactly.
This is your group?
Now you reach out to them more. It's like, fuck, the more you're bringing this hate out, but the hate is what fucking sells a paper. You know, that's a super dated reference at this point. Yeah. You know, but that's going to cause people to now see more of it because people are like, because one of the things I think is a big issue right now with like society, as I speak from my high horse of a fucking podcast microphone, is fucking voyeurism. Everyone just wants to watch. Like,
I cannot understand this because I don't want to watch. I want to participate. I want to do. Like, I want to.
And you look at these fucking reality shows. You look at the whole reason the Kardashians are famous is because people just want to watch this family live.
Right. Everybody is so fed up. They want, and like, again, audience disclaimer, I am not above anyone else, and I don't, you know, we don't, Thomas included, because I know he's the same way. Like, we don't, you know,
I just don't understand. I don't understand that shit. Yeah, like, I'm like, this is more of a inquisitive, like, this is a thing I've noticed, and I don't know why. But I definitely feel like it's part of it, where it's like, even if you're not necessarily, you know, you associate with any of these crazy, the alt-right or Antifa or whatever, these crazy militant groups, it's fun to watch. I'm not going to deny that, you know. When you see crazy shit going down, you're like, wow, that's fucked right up. But you can't stop watching it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Although I can't necessarily say that because I watched one video of the Vegas shooting and I was sick to my stomach for the entire day. Like, it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. I was like, what fucking happened? And I looked on Twitter and there's like a video. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like that was like, I have never felt that way in my life. It's so weird, which is kind of the one nice thing about social media is I was able to more or less live that moment.
Yeah, or any of some of the, I forget which ones explicitly, but some of the, you know, cop on black shootings as well. I watched some of those, and some of those are pretty sickening where, you see somebody die.
Right.
You know, and it kind of gives a whole new...
Like, I'm getting like goosebumps now just thinking of that video where it's like no one reacted right away. Gunshots started going off, and like I was like, no one's even screaming right now.
They thought it was fireworks.
Right. It was so creepy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden people are screaming. You see the guy who's doing the song duck out and leave, and you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And like I just couldn't handle what was going on. It was so intense. And I was like, it is a blessing and curse of social media where like I got to see that. I now like a lot of these things, like a lot of these hurricanes, we see the aftermath, but we don't see the actual event happening. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard. I mean, maybe for me, just because there's so much going on. But like I can't necessarily put myself in the place of like, I can't put myself in as deep an emotional place as someone who's been there.
Right.
But watching the shooting, like watching that video, I was like, holy shit. Like I was fucked up for an entire day. And like the whole thing just like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like this is just so fucked. And it's just really fucked. It was just really intense.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very intense, emotional, like almost semi-religious experience of just like, what are we doing? How does this happen? You know, like I don't even like.
Yeah.
I have no answers. It's just like fuck. Like
right. This is just yeah.
You know, and like that. I mean, the only thing I can do is like, you know, maybe donate money and donate blood, and it's like that's all. I'm so like I don't live near Vegas. I don't have anything like real spatially, right. But. You know, now it's on my mind. Now I might actually do. You know, now I'm led into action, which is a nice thing about social media, as opposed to like if this was, you know, 1939. But like I necessarily
it would have been a sensationalized story in the newspapers, in newsprint. But you wouldn't have had.
I don't know if I would have the emotional
video,
response.
Right, the video images that, you know, initiated that visceral.
Right, like hearing the gunfire, I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah,
I've never heard that. Like there are.
Well, hey, that's Vietnam. That's when that first started.
Right, exactly, because they showed gunfire.
Right.
You know, and like I was just thinking the other day, I was like, there are two things I don't think I could ever really get behind, and it's medication, like pills, like pain pills, and fucking guns. Those two things scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't. Like I got my nose work done like earlier in the year. I never took a single one. I was like, I just can't.
That's good, man.
I can't fuck with this.
Working in an ER, like that's very good.
It was so scary. And then like if I don't have a gun. Like, my dad has guns, but like I don't ask where they are. I don't want to know where they are. I do know where some of them are, but like, you know, it's not. It's just weird to see them. Like I would not have like one just sitting on my desk here, and I wouldn't just like. It's just too weird. Right. And like I know people who like own them and stuff like that, and they're respectful, and they don't bring them out, and they don't talk about it. They just I know they own them. We it's whatever.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not something I want to be around. It's weird to me. It's just very weird and like
right. And so this is where I feel, you know, I think we've talked about this before maybe, but just tolerance comes in, right? Mm-hmm. We've had this conversation a little bit. You know,
I think so, yeah.
Where like kind of the genius of our founding fathers understood, and the genius of our American system is that we knew we were going to have differences, right? And you know, we fought a freaking civil war. Like, we knew our country was going to be divisive at times, and has probably been more divisive in our history a lot more than it is today, if that is articulated correctly. So, you know, I mean, but we can practice tolerance, and we can, you know, like, you do your thing,
right?
I'll do my thing, and we'll work within our respective local governments to, you know, and state governments to. I mean,
there are definitely things that, you know, to the level of what you got to do, like maybe that guy shouldn't own whatever he had, 19, 20 guns or something of fully automatic rifles. There should be a system in place that maybe checks on that. You know, you should have the right to maybe own one. I don't know. I'm not a gun collector. I wouldn't care about that shit. Or maybe if you own more than one, you start cementing the barrel. Something. I don't know. I don't know enough about guns, but like there's enough where like there seems to be a way if you want to collect them, you want to do something. I don't know, but you know, the ability to just go and get that much and then no one question anything. I don't know why it shouldn't be easier to buy a gun than it is to get a car. Well,
yeah. So I mean, so the way I wish people had, and this, I'm really glad actually. I'm close enough to the microphone here that my voice comes in clearly. But the way I wish the media and pundits, and I listen to NPR a lot, like the way I wish they had this conversation was honestly saying like, okay, America, like we have to set a priority, right? Like we have to think about this pragmatically. Like on the one hand, we've got the Second Amendment, which establishes the right, not the privilege, like driving,
exactly.
You know, not the, you know, I'm trying to think of another privilege, like not a free education, which is not a right, you know, but a privilege that we have, but the right to keep and bear arms, you know? So we have to say, okay, what's more important to us as a culture now, as a people? You know, do we care more about the Second Amendment, or do we care more about preventing, you know, 58 people, you know, 59 people and hundreds of others from being killed, and hundreds of others from being, well, the gunman who killed himself.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, you know, and preventing, you know, there's hundreds of injuries as well. Like, what's more important to us now? And if that's the case, they created a legal way for us to do that, which is to amend the Constitution.
Right. It's a living document.
Right.
That shit can change.
Right.
And like, I feel like that's not, and sure, I understand people feeling threatened by saying that might need to be changed, but like when those guys wrote that down, this was never a possibility.
So I'm one of those who believes that they actually did a pretty good job of crafting a document that could handle this kind of situation, and just, you know, I mean,
I don't know. No, I mean, just think. I mean, what is it? Almost 600 people were hit with a gun in 10-minute span. They really didn't live in a world that was possible.
Right, but at the same time, you know, they're everything in our world has gotten bigger in terms of scale, but the end result is still the same, right? So,
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Right. So the population of the colonies in 1776, I have no idea how much it was, but it wasn't 300 million, so like.
But how often were that amount of people corralled in a place and then like I just don't think it necessarily equates. Like over 600 people were shot in like a 2,000 person crowd or something to that effect. And
20,000, yeah.
Yeah. And like, it's fenced off a little bit because it's a concert. You don't want people breaking in and shit like that. And it's just like, it seems like something that's super fucked. And like, maybe we should rethink that. And like the amount of time he had to like switch guns and do all that shit, like that seems crazy to me. I don't know. Like,
right.
Why have that much? Why allow that much? Why not license people? Why not test people? Why not have them go through stuff? I honestly almost think we should almost be tested, even if it's just a written test, every year for cars. Just to make sure, because you see fucking shit going on in a car, you're like, what the hell is that guy thinking? Right. Because they just, either they're neglecting a rule or they just don't know it's a rule. They just they forgot it's a rule.
Right, so this has always been the great challenge of the American experience. Is that how much do we value individual liberty versus public safety? Right?
Okay.
So, we could have tests.
How much do you value a gun towards personal liberty? So, like how much of that should be have the weight of that conversation?
Right. So I value it immensely high.
Okay. Because
it's my understanding that, just being like an amateur student of history and looking at other populations throughout the world, what makes our country different to a great extent in regulating our government is that, the government is for the people and by the people, and the right to keep and bear arms is the muscle that the people retain to keep the government in check.
Okay.
Right? So when they wrote this law, remember, we were like one of the first countries to not be a monarchy.
Right.
To not have, or aside from monarchy, like other forms of despotism where, you just have like single powerful, kind of ruling body.
Right.
And we were one of the first to kind of go through with that. And to do it on like the scale and level of independence and that we did. So they had just fought a war, and they, governments take over their people all the time. Like, think of how many dictators, even throughout the last century, that have risen up. Right. I mean, Saddam Hussein became a dictator.
But do you think that would be even easy in America with the three parties and all the checks and balances that they go through?
I think it would be surprisingly easy. I really do.
Okay.
I think that once you take away that right to keep and bear arms, and arms that are substantial enough to combat military forces, which is why the need for semi-automatics
But I don't see that threat being there. What you're talking is in hypothetical.
Right. So you won't. It's.
And now, to be fair to you, I am definitely far more like, if you ask me right now, you need to sign this bill right now, I'd be fuck all guns. We don't need this shit. This shit's out of here.
Right. I mean,
I'm trying to understand where this is coming from and why you would even think a license, like even just being licensed, is not required.
Right. So I haven't said that. Right. I mean, I think some components of a better regulated gun industry would be super beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, some states have licensing.
Mm-hmm.
I think some states have a mental health requirement. I think, nobody who's a felon can technically buy a gun. Right. So we've already have some basic vetting procedures.
And also, side note, fuck the argument of like criminals will just get guns. Fuck you. Like, criminals are criminals. Let's move on. Let's actually go to like, this guy wasn't a criminal and all that shit. Like,
right. So if we can
most people who do these mass shootings don't have criminal backgrounds. So like, let's not even have this. Like, why even bring that up?
Right.
Like, it's irrelevant.
Right, that's like that annoying kid in philosophy class who like has his technical right point.
Right, yeah, it's like, I guess you're technically right, but that doesn't apply to the situation we're talking about.
And this is why, like I said, I wish they have this conversation in pragmatic terms, where they're like, okay, like, yes, you're technically right, instead of just demonizing them on the right. Right, you're technically right, like criminals will break the laws, but look, we're a large populace, we have to make a decision for the good of everyone, just approach it from a human, a human focus point, instead of the point of demonizing the other side. But yeah, I think that if we didn't have, the kinds of guns in the hands of the civilian populace that we do now, that absolutely we could lose our ability to, I don't know, regulate our government and keep it in check.
So does that come out of a fear place? Because both Australia, which is the size of the United States but the population of California, and United Kingdom don't have guns allowed. That's banned.
Right.
They're significantly smaller populations, but like, why do you think that our government would actually turn on us?
Right. So I don't know if our government actually would, but I know that governments in past history have. And so, I mean, people who are more apt at defending this point than I am might point to the example of like Nazi Germany.
Okay.
Like one of the first things Hitler did, if I know my history correctly through third-hand accounts or whatever, was he confiscated all the German weapons.
Okay.
Right? So that way the populace wouldn't be able to put up an armed resistance. Okay. Because it's very difficult. The government usually typically controls the military, right? Like if you paid attention to any histories, even Egypt recently with like, you know, their recent rebellions and stuff, there are usually some generals who control troops loyal to them, who will do some bad things and kind of take power.
Mm-hmm.
It is one thing to say like, and what always amazes me is the scale, right? So like you could have an army of only 10,000, but that can control a population of like tens of millions if they don't have some type of weapon in their hand to counterbalance that. Like nobody is going to go out and face down troops armed with AK-47s if they don't have their own something to shoot back at them. They'll just get massacred in the streets. Like the nature of modern weapons has kind of allowed that to happen.
I guess here's the next thing. If we're going to talk about keeping this as a thing, why not have a proper training system? Why not have a permit test and then a field test like you do with a car? Like, wouldn't that actually support your argument more so that you have an armed society thing?
No, so you make a great point. I would be...
Like, why not go through those whole steps?
Right. I mean, we already have that for hunting.
Right.
We have hunting licenses so that we don't go out and irresponsibly shoot
So why don't we have that
animals.
for just general purchasing?
You know what, Tom? That's a great question, and that's something that I would agree with you on. I think that something like that is a compromise that
because like if we have to keep, if we're not going to win this fight of remove or keep, why don't we just make it and then in the process of licensing, you can be each thing is registered. Like people know, like okay, this guy bought 3 automatic rifles. Just watch him.
Right. Well, I mean,
or whatever.
Traditionally, you know, Americans like our privacy respected. You know, like if you bought like 3 dildos,
but your car is fucking kept track of. If I bought your car from you, you would let the government know, hey, this guy got the car now. I'm no longer liable.
Right.
With, why not kind of almost... Cars are they're just as dangerous. Fucking look at Nice, France. Just drove a fucking car through a bunch of people. Yeah. Like, they're just as dangerous. Why is it harder to get that than something... Because a gun, the problem with the gun is that it removes the personal element. Like, if I was fighting you with a sword, I gotta watch you fucking die. I gotta watch the fucking life leave your eyes.
Yeah.
But as a gun, like, he can sit in a fucking 34-second floor room and just fire down in a crowd. Who gives a shit? You know, like, he doesn't... There's no connection for him.
Yeah,
so, that's a problem with that.
Yeah.
And, like, cars are similar, too, because you're just in a little box and you can't really react. Like, you know, that's why people treat being in a car like being on the internet and calling people crazy names and shit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, again, there's a lot of common sense, you know, common ground stuff that could be reached. It's just people on one side are always afraid the other side will go too far, you know, and then we just reach an impasse.
That's got to be some, like, just due to, like, everyone's lack of communication.
Well, not only that, but it's also due to, I mean, historically, whenever, like, one side gives an inch, you know, it gets gobbled up, and then they just take another inch, and another inch, and another inch, and another inch, you know? I mean, before 1986, the gun lobby would say we had, fully automatic weapons were legal, right? You know, we gave up fully automatic weapons, we'll never get them back, you know? And then next, for a while in 94, Bill Clinton passed a super restrictive gun law where you couldn't buy semi-automatics with certain upgrades, like certain muzzle brakes or folding stocks or like tactical grips, you know, like stuff that was deemed excessive or paramilitary.
Which I guess it is, right? Like there's no...
Sort of, right.
Practical. Unless you're thinking that like the government is about to attack you, there's no practical reason for owning it.
Right, or that potentially they could. Not just that they may, but that they could.
But that's like... So that argument just seems kind of doomsayer-ish and not really practical.
Yeah, but again,
it's not really lined up with logic. It's more like...
Yeah, for me, if this was a topic that I had more time to prepare on, I would come back at you with probably dozens of examples from history.
But what about American history? Because America's different than I use both
the Civil War, because.
But that's such a different time. Those guns and weapons didn't exist than they do now. A folding stock and a foregrip did not exist back then.
But they had cannons with canister shot. And they had their weapons of the day that did the same thing, and the populace was on the same page as the military in terms of their military, or in terms of their fighting technology. But yeah, the South would not have been able to, the background of the Civil War, where the South was basically being railroaded, or felt they were being railroaded into giving up what they thought and what was their constitutional right, and so then they chose to exercise that ability to, I guess, defend themselves. I'm not going to defend secession right now.
I guess they literally had a right to do it, but then it was removed. So do you not think that something should be changed like that? If it is
right, so
because that clearly was the wrong decision to have that be a constitutional right to own slaves.
Right, I would defend the Second Amendment. I won't be dramatic and say until I die, but with a lot of passion and fervor and the necessary actions, because that's a right. Okay, but there's a process to change that, the amendment process. So we passed prohibition, where we made it illegal to. I don't know if it was illegal to consume alcohol, but illegal to sell and produce alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can pass that and then repeal that, there's no reason why we couldn't, if we as a public decided this is what enough of us wanted, why we couldn't amend gun control.
Right. No, I'm not saying it's not possible. Yeah. Would you not say that it's even just a rewording, or is it just too sacred? Is it all or nothing? Even if we have to compromise in towards a rewording of the way that's written in some way, where it's not. Maybe not a right, but maybe something where it's whatever.
Right. So again, if that's
I don't know what word you'd use.
Right. If I and those who think like me become so antiquated that people decide they no longer want people to own guns in America, change the Constitution. You would be hard pressed to find people who wouldn't agree with that if you explained it that way, even on the far right. They'd be like, "This is our country. This is the legal process that we have for changing something like that." The issue comes when you pick at it piecemeal and you infringe upon the right, and you do these things that are subversive and not honest, and just don't really, treat people who respect that right fairly.
I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just it's definitely kind of nuts. If you look at the last few, and it's kind of fucked that they kind of keep showing this on the news, but lack of a better term, a scorecard of the last major shootings.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone up by 10 people each time.
Yep.
And it's how do you just stop that? That seems fucked. And someone, I forget who said this, but I think actually it may have been that CBS woman who got fired because she said more fucked up things. But the one thing she did say is kind of interesting was when there was fucking someone killing kids and we didn't change anything, there's no chance that anything's going to get changed. And I can kind of see logic behind that. Where it's a bunch of kids got fucking killed.
Yeah, Sandy Hook.
Yeah, and no one did anything. No one changed anything. No, there weren't as much footage of that actually happening as there were for this one. So I wonder if this will actually have a bigger impact, because people can on their computer, on their phone, live the event for a second and be like, what the fuck? And just see the actual what that actually means.
Right. So yeah, this gets into some pretty deep stuff where really what it boils down to is how much do we value individual freedom and individual rights,
mm-hmm.
and the rights to, control your own destiny and your own life without government interference, and how much we trust other members of our society to, be respectful of us, independent of forced regulation. We talk about how this is a crazy world, right? Because back in the 70s when my parents were growing up, or the 60s, the parents would let them out of the house and they'd wander around,
right?
Forever, all out playing. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And if they got lost, someone would just drive them back. They wouldn't pick them up and kidnap them.
I would like to know the statistics on how often that happens.
I'm sure.
Is it just everyone being crazy and being this is just everyone's just going to murder my child? Or is it
So I've heard anecdotally, not kidnapping children, but about rape.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard anecdotally from a neighbor who's older, actually, that there was one guy in their town who had raped a girl, and all the guys got together and they went out and just beat the crap out of him and made sure he like never did that again. So, you know, before there were all these like systemic institutional type of responses in place, you know, people were much more connected on an interpersonal level. You knew who lived next door, and you just kind of took care of it, you know?
Well, that's a tribal thing. You know, you should, I forget, what is it? Humans should only know 120, 150 people or something. It's like our limit or something like that. So like, you know, someone comes into the tribe, they threaten another female or just a person, you know, affect them in some negative way. And so you can take care of it that way. And I would wonder if the fact that we are now a international world, you know, we're this big global thing, or even just a complete national thing. You know, I can open my phone right now and probably see every tweet that shows up on my page, all from California or something. You know, like some people I would never meet in real life, you know, because they're just so far away. They're not part of my world. That we probably do need to maybe consider more law-based stuff, because we've just become such a wider existence. Like the people, like we're still doing tribal things, and that's what the internet, a lot of it allows. You know, I only like the people I follow and I pay attention to and I interact with. They're people who also like anime and video games and other nerdy shit like that. Where, you know, if this was 1964, I don't know, I keep picking random numbers, but 1964 or whatever, like, you know, that might not exist in my town. You know, here in Raritan Junction, who the fuck knows? You know, it could be anything. No one actually could give a shit. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, so it's allowing my tribe to be something else and be somewhere else, and I can keep up with them and see that shit. You know, shit still goes down. People still get upset, and the tribe is still, it's not 150 people. It's, you know, thousands of people of different, you know, everything. You know, right. It's definitely you know, balance, that weird balance of like trying to figure out how you, like, where exactly your weird niche is and how it fits and all that shit. But like, I don't know, maybe we should be more concerned with like greater laws on stuff, because of the fact that we're so open now. You know, it's not like the mayor of your town can potentially solve all the problems, or just you and a couple of guys can go to the neighbor and just beat the shit out of him because he raped your fucking neighbor. Like, I don't know how much of that matters, or how much of that is going to affect and change things today because of the way everything is so much like wider.
Right. And so that's where I'll get into, just echoing back to some of what I said, you know, where I just feel like the interconnectivity, like the real tangible, you know, kiss me on the cheek interconnectivity of our society has just devolved, and not, you know, again, not doom and gloom devolved everywhere, because certainly people still, you know, are much more interpersonal than I'm describing our world to be. But just, you know, when you look at the cell phone culture and the social media culture, and, you know, just the wider tribe community, as you say, you know, I mean, you don't know your next door neighbor, you know, but they're friends with a whole group of people, like, through the internet that they, you know, I don't know.
But is that just you not embracing that aspect? Like, you haven't found your internet group that you feel comfortable with? That
Right. Yeah, I mean, it could be, and this is where I go back to the Bob Dylan song. Like, am I just an antiquated fossil standing on the road? You know, that's how I feel most days. I feel most days like I should just get out of the way and let, you know, society push through. And just find maybe a couple people, and maybe hopefully, you know, a woman who thinks along similar lines, and who, you know, really just wants to help me be a good person and help our family be a good person, and just do good work and make our world a better place, and just live our little nuclear life, you know. And
but you don't want to ever change that? You don't feel like you can change? You don't feel like you want to change? Like, maybe you don't have to be the one that's in the way. Maybe you could just, I'm not saying fucking jump fucking head first in the deep end and go fucking full SJW anti-fuck crazy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's the complete opposite of who you are. But, you know, maybe adjust and change and rethink some things, and maybe, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, for sure I am. And some parts of me, people always adapt. That's why I'm trying not to be dramatic in this conversation,
yeah.
you know, which is different for me. But, you know, I mean, just for me personally, like, I've seen the alternative. Like, I've seen, you know, and I've experienced the way, I don't know, I've experienced this new way of doing things, you know, where you use Kik and you know, text each other at the dinner table, or, you know, while hanging out at the dinner table, you know, and again, I don't want to come across as super judgmental and critical of everyone else because, right, it sounds like I'm being critical of others. Maybe I am, but just for my own life, that's not how I want to live.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me because my way of wanting to live is not the way that society is moving. And, you know, this is why I feel like our country is so divided, and maybe part of the reason why Trump got elected, because there's this whole other group of people that, you know, all have different components they associate with it, but they feel the same way, like their way of life is you know, being eroded and taken away from them. And why should I adapt? Like people who are older than me, like I've done this for 40 years, you know, like, and this is the way I was taught. This is the right way. Like, what do you mean? You know? And so people have their own breaking point. And like, you know, there's a point at which they'll be pushed too far. And, you know, we reached that point before in the Civil War when, you know, half the country seceded. And I don't know if we're headed that way or if people feel strongly enough about some of these issues to stand up and do that again or something like that again. But, you know, we really just need more tolerance on all sides. We need to have not a conversation where one group is the new group to be marginalized. Like, you know, I could, in a different time, we'll talk about, I'm actually not going to go down this tangent, but so that's not what I want to say now.
So, like, you say, you know, tolerance, but you're not willing to change. Do you feel that's weird?
No, because here's the beauty of the word tolerance, right? And I took this from a Netflix movie about 8th graders. The Big G, and it's not called The Big G. It's called What I Am.
Okay.
Great movie, by the way. I watched it.
Take your word.
On 2 dates, and it's a smash hit. Like everybody loves it.
Interesting. Interesting. You watched it twice.
Yes, it's that good, right? But one of the big messages in it is just tolerance.
And we can wrap up if you want. It's about 12:30.
Are you freaking kidding me? It's 12:30.
12:30. We are at.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. In hindsight, maybe like an hour ago we should have wrapped up. Maybe we'll cut that. Or I won't.
I mean, maybe. Who knows? Yeah. I'll go through it. I'm kind of tipsy right now. I don't want to fuck.
You don't want to fuck, but I thought we were going to fuck.
Oh, I'm going to ravage that booty. No, I'm just going to... I don't want to fucking edit right now when I'm like doing that. Also, I got another show I got to put out anyway, so...
Yeah.
I'll be doing that. This will come out pretty soon, though. So.
All right, so I suppose we should do some kind of ending. Then.
Oh, yeah, we'll wrap this up. Thanks for doing this, dude. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah.
Being a generous fuck with your time and your money.
Yeah, man.
And being just a great human being.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Thank you for some good civil discourse.
Yes, good.
I hope we bored a lot of your listeners.
Oh, I bet we just bore them to death. 3 hours of just pure debate of like actual no blood
mixed in with stories that don't matter about our personal lives.
Not all about our personal lives. That's the one thing. There's a couple of names I might like beep out.
Yeah, could you please beep out?
Yeah, I might just beep out all the names of people who don't matter to the situation.
Please do,
because I feel bad.
Can you insert like funny things like Craig Ferguson on when he used to host the Late Late Show would insert like "ay caramba" like for like when he would swear?
I probably. I mean, yeah, I could. Insert, like, it's far easier just to make it beep.
Oh, if you can make it beep too, that's cool. That's better than just silence. Like anything is just.
Oh yeah, I can make it beep. That's far easier.
Oh, I like the beep.
Like that's so easy. You just make the frequency really high, and it just.
I'm down with the beep.
We'll fuck with that beep. All right. Yeah. So I guess we'll just wrap up now. But yeah, thank you for everything. Thanks for being here. You should definitely come on again. This is a good time.
Oh, Tom, I had a great time. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, thanks for that. And with that, we will end. And love and kisses.